Well, hi again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football. And guess what? It is the draft show. It is game day. It is Hayes in the Barn time. The first pick will be made in just a few moments. I'm Harper LeBel. Along with me is Vincent Turner, the founder and owner of 100 Yards of Football, along with General Manager, Personnel Director, Scout, Joey Clinkscales, former player. He has so many different hats that he wears. Gentlemen, it's finally time. Start your engines. Roger Goodell, in just a moment, will say the draft will begin and the Raiders are on the clock. Vincent, I'll start with you. You've been waiting for months and months for this to be a part of your daily reality. It helps keep you young at heart. And here we are, the 2026 NFL Draft from Pittsburgh is ready to start.
I'm so blessed this evening. What more can I say? A dream come true. I'm doing a draft, even though it's on social media, with two guys that played the game, know the game at a high level, and play with some of the greatest players that came through the National Football League. So I'm very blessed this evening. So all I can say is let's get this party started. And as one great musician back in the day when I was about 10 years old, the great Ozzy Osbourne, Iron Man. Back to you, Harper LeBel.
Well, here we go. The Iron Man. We're going to be here for about 4 hours. But Joey, you mentioned last night the time clock is a little bit less. I think the commercials, everything, they're going to try to speed this up a little bit. It's not going to be like the Academy Awards when you know it's time for you to leave the stage, that the music plays and people are going to kind of brush you off. But they'll make a little bit of room. But anything exciting happened within the last 24 hours? You said last night that the general managers, the front office, even the owner, they're all going to take the night off. About 11 o'clock, maybe noon, they're going to go in the office. But right from here on out, it's going to be a very, very tough and difficult 3.5, 4 hours. So give us your perspective, Joey, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah. Well, the fun is about to start for all the personnel people and coaches and owners that are in the building. So right now, everybody's excited. Again, the Hayes in the Barn, the work has been done. So now it's time to draft the best available player who's on the board, who not only is the best player, but the player that fits your need.
While we do that, if you don't mind, let's go through the top five. If you don't mind, let's who are the top five guys that you have? Everybody is a little bit different. Vincent, I'll start with you. Obviously, the Raiders are on the clock. We'll begin with them. They're going to have the first pick. But of the five that you think, give me your perspective once they are on the clock, what you think. Vincent, I'll start with you.
Well, of course, Mendoza is going to go number one overall to the Raiders. I think we are consensus on that. But on my board, I got David Bailey, the great pass rusher out of Texas Tech, going to Joey's old team, the New York Jets. Number three, I think Arizona, even though they signed Tyler Algier, man, how can you not pass up who a lot of people saying the best player in the draft out of St. Louis, Jeremiah Love. Then at number four, the Titans. They need a showstopper down there with Cam Wood. So if I'm looking at it, if Jeremiah Love is not there, they're going to go with Avell Reese, pass rusher linebacker, Ohio State. And number five, now this is the trifecta for me. Now the Giants, over the last 3 days, well, on Monday they had Jordan Tyson in, the wide receiver from Arizona State. But then John Harbaugh said he's in love with Caleb Downs, the safety for New York. So I'm going to give it back to you, Mr. LeBel. Those are my top five.
There you go. Joey, how about you?
Very similar. For me, my top player in this draft is Jeremiah Love. He won't be the first player picked, but he is, in my opinion, the best player in this draft. Then you have Bailey, the pass rusher from Texas Tech. You have Mendoza, the quarterback from Cal/Indiana. And then you have the two Ohio State guys. Sonny Styles, I have just slightly ahead of Reese from a play skill perspective. So I'm excited to see how this goes. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to go in that order. There are a lot of things that happen. Sometimes, guys will throw smoke screens to keep other teams off. We've done that when I was an executive. We have guys in late. Those things happen.
Joey, don't give your secrets away. We don't want you to do that, man.
No. So all those things happen. Well. Yeah. So we're excited to see what's happening on the stage right now. I don't know if you guys can see it, but the great Terrible Towel teams are there with Bradshaw and J.J. Watt and all those people
Oh.
are welcoming everybody to Pittsburgh for the draft. So I'm sure the commissioner is about 30 seconds away from saying that the Raiders are on the clock. So that'll happen pretty soon here.
Vincent, you go back, you're a historian. Talk a little bit, just very briefly, about how Pittsburgh in 1972, Franco Harris is a rookie. They make the playoffs, and they become one of the more dominant teams the NFL has ever encountered. They win 4 championships in the 70s. They had some very difficult and what I would say tumultuous.
Raiders are on the clock.
The Raiders are on the clock. It's officially begun, ladies and gentlemen, at 8:07. Congratulations. The draft is ready to start in 8 minutes now, not 10. The pick should be in, and we'll be letting you know there. Very quickly, Vincent, what are your thoughts here about Pittsburgh being able to host the draft?
Well, the Steelers is great history. Growing up in Memphis, you're either a Cowboys fan or you're a Steelers fan. And Pittsburgh used to own the Cowboys back in the mid-'70s. And all I think about Pittsburgh, which I don't like the city because of my Cowboy Lawrence and history, was that 74 class that had Lynn Swann, John Stallworth, Jack Lambert, Mike Webster, and all those guys that made the Hall of Fame. But congratulations to the city of Pittsburgh. I still don't like you. But, hey, that's how I go. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Well, Joey, you do like them for obvious reasons. Give me your perspective on Pittsburgh, the history of the city, the great championship teams, and they all started really with Franco. Terry Bradshaw's there, of course. Franco's no longer with us, but some of those amazing teams from the 70s. The Steel Curtain began in that era. What's your experience in terms of the love that city has for its team?
Pittsburgh is a great sports town. I mean, if you like obviously football, but if you like baseball, the Pirates were really good back in those days as well with Stargell and those guys a while back. But from a football perspective, I mean, you had Donnie Shell, you had some of the biggest corner I'd ever seen in my life, Mel Blount. And to this day, he still looks like he can play football. He's got to be 112 years old. He still looks like he can play football. And obviously the lineage of offensive linemen that they had, along with obviously the receivers. You're talking about Lynn Swann. You're talking about John Stallworth. You're talking about a litany of guys. They had a big tight end, Cunningham. Obviously the 2 running backs. You had Harris and Rocky Bleier. So the lineage of those teams in the 70s that ended up winning those 4 championships. It all started in 74, and my mentor, who's no longer with us, Dick Haley, was leading that charge as their general manager and personnel director, along with the head coach Chuck Noll.
Yeah, pretty amazing. The history speaks for itself when you have the Rooney family. That they called him the old man, right? When Art Rooney was smoking a cigar and had glasses that looked like they were thicker than Coke bottles. But he would walk from his home to the stadium where work was. You mentioned the Pirates for obvious reasons, the 71 Pirates in that era, and then 78, 79 with the We Are Family Pirates. You had 2 championships in baseball. You had the 4 in football. It was a pretty amazing time. It wasn't for a few years later that Mario Lemieux brings the Stanley Cup to the city. No basketball team. The Pitt Panthers, if you will, just across the river now, but they played some games there they play now in Heinz Field. Just an amazing era there. There were some great teams that took place. Jackie Sherrill, Vincent, as you know, was a part of the Pitt football history, and there's so many kids out of Western Pennsylvania that had a chance to play at the college level. So I agree with both of you. I think it's a great hosting city. It's a great town. If you're a baseball player and you rank the top cities of where you like to play, not only because of the field, but because of the nightlife and being able to get a bite to eat and a lot of close by situations, Pittsburgh is right up there amongst the many. So congratulations. The Raiders are on the clock. Gentlemen, any news so far? Joey, do you see anything that's been going on?
I'm looking, they're just speaking with the Mendoza family. The pick, they have not announced the pick in yet, and I wouldn't expect them to. They're going to use all the time up. So it's 3 minutes and 45 seconds before the pick is in, before it's announced.
But so in that time, let's talk a little bit. I was thinking, in my heart.
The pick is in.
Here we go. All right, so we'll have the first pick. We're looking at Fernando Mendoza. Obviously, My thinking, gentlemen, would be that the Raiders would trade back and they would go with Ty Simpson. They would get 2 other picks. They need a lot of work. They've got a new coach. They've got a new quarterback now. There's some things that they have to fix immediately. They've got to get a better offensive line together. There's a lot that they could do. An extra body might be able to be part of that, but obviously they're going to take the first. I think it's the quarterback. I'm not surprising anybody, but when you can confirm that, Joey, please do. Vincent, your thoughts here about Mendoza?
I got to surprise a lot of people. Came from Cal, which I thought he was a pretty good football player. But look the season he had with Indiana. Led them to a national championship, 3,500 yards passing, 72 completion rate, 41 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. But what stuck out to me most of all, the guy has some little bit of athletic ability, 276 yards rushing. And what more can we say? The touchdown run in the national championship game, which to me won that football game for Indiana against Miami.
Yeah, he showed some toughness, didn't he? I think there was something that really set him apart in terms of, there were other years where there are several different quarterbacks, maybe 4. This time it's really more of a one-man show. He kind of stands out, and obviously playing in that national championship game. Joey, any other thoughts before we actually announce the pick?
The commission is about to come up, but I think we know who will be. I think Fernando would be in a good situation. He's going into a situation, and I don't want to get too technical with the fans because, that's a whole nother story. But he's going into the Kubiak system, which is more of a pure progression system. And what I mean by that is, you're going to have 3 or 4 reads. You're going to throw to one of those guys no matter what the coverage looks like. That's the easiest thing for a quarterback to learn. When you have full field progression, that's a whole different animal for a quarterback. So the pick is in, and Fernando Mendoza is picked. He just put the Raiders hat on.
There you go.
And for me, he's a player that I see. First of all, I don't want to say I think the Raiders did a really good thing by helping this player out. And what I mean by that is they brought in Kirk Cousins. So whenever Fernando is ready to play football, they can put him on the field. Hopefully they'll draft players, and they did some good things in free agency, especially signing the center to be the linchpin of that offense and get some more pieces around them. They need help at the receiver core. Obviously, they had a running back that they drafted last year who would be really good. So they have pieces.
They've got the best tight end, at least the best receiving tight end in Brock Bowers, right?
Without question. I mean, he's a phenomenal player. But I see him as a player. For me, he's a mix between Kirk Cousins and really like a Mac Jones. I mean, he's going to be very cerebral. He's a better athlete than you think. He's got good arm talent, not great, but good. But the system that he's being put in, I don't think he's not going to be required to be a gunslinger.
Joey, you have told us in the past, obviously, for those that are just joining us for the first time, you've worked for the Oakland Raiders. The philosophy under Al Davis many, many years ago, many decades, time and time again, we are going to throw deep at least 3 times a game. We're going to go to Cliff Branch over the top and see what he can do and stretch the field. That era is technically gone, but there is still a part of Raider football that wants something like that. Is the arm strength and everything like that allow for that to be a part of it in a cerebral Kubiak type of offense as well?
Well, I don't think the arm strength is going to be an issue because a couple things are in effect. The Raiders play indoors, so the arm strength is something that, if you're playing indoors, you don't have to worry about wind, you don't have to worry about elements. And when I say arm strength, I don't want to make it seem like the kid has a noodle for arm. He doesn't. He can throw the ball down the field. He's shown the ability to do that both at Cal and at Indiana. But that being said, throwing the ball deep is a lot about timing. It's hitting that 3rd, 4th, and 5th step whenever that is, and letting the ball go. Okay, so if he can play on script with timing and not have to deviate from that a whole lot, then he'll be fine. And the Raiders will be able to get the ball down the field with timing. And again, they have a premier tight end.
Yes, they do. So offensively, they're going to have to put some pieces around him and protect this guy and not deflect away from what their defense has been. New York Jets are on the clock, gentlemen. They got about 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes left to go. Maybe a little bit left.
Yeah, 250.
Gentlemen, your thoughts here. Vincent, I'll start with you. Where do you go if the Jets are picking at number 2? if Fernando Mendoza is off the board?
Well, they already proven that they think they got the quarterback signing Geno in the offseason. There's no question about it. They need help in every area, so they need to get pressure on the quarterback. You're going to go get the man out where you from, Hopper, up there in L.A., by way of Stanford, Texas Tech. David Bailey, to me, is the pick. Back to you, Hop.
6'3", 251 pounds out of Texas Tech. He's the number one position guy. Number 3 overall. His grade is about a 92. Averill Reese also has a 92 grade. 6'4", about 241 for Reese. So very similar in their sizes. Give me a difference maker. Why would you pick, if you were picking as Vincent did, why would you go with Bailey?
I would go with Bailey because I think he's the most ready pass rusher. The Jets pick is in, but I think he's the most ready pass rusher. Now, I think Reese probably has the biggest upside because he can do a lot of different things. And that being said, the Jets want to go – they're transitioning their defense from a 43 to a 34 defense. So I think Bailey will fit that initially a little better from a skill set perspective.
Well, that's the pick. David Bailey, number 2 overall, going to the New York Jets. David Bailey, edge rusher at Texas Tech. Vincent, you thought that was going to be the exact pick. You're right. Good for you. Tell me why.
Production. 19.5 sacks last year. 19 tackles for loss. 81 QB pressures. 52 tackles. I don't have to say no more. The mic is dropped. And Aaron Glenn, I'm cheering for him up there in the big city. He needs help in a lot of ways. And I think David Bailey is a can't-miss prospect. That's just my opinion. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
At 6'4", I like the size at 251. Joey, does that need to be a 2.6 anything in the near future, in the next year or two?
No, I wouldn't say so. I mean, because of the way they're going to play him, and he'll be outside a lot. No, the weight doesn't bother me. With natural growth and weight room, those things, he'll naturally get a little bigger. But no, that weight doesn't bother me. There's smaller guys. There's smaller guys playing in the league that effective quarterback than he is.
Well, if he can keep his speed the way that he has, and impressed with that, I agree with you. I'm just saying, going against a guy that's 320, where you were in 250, I think there could be a little bit of room. Vincent, go right ahead.
Yeah, I want to ask the GM, Mr. Clinkscales, compare him to John Abraham.
They're different. John probably was in a 240 neighborhood coming out of University of South Carolina. Probably a better overall athlete. If I were comparing him, I would probably compare Arvell Reese a little more to John Abraham than David Bailey because of the athleticism, because of the just flat out speed. Now this guy ran a 4.50, so we're not saying he's slow, but Abraham was a 4.4 guy, and Reese is a 4.4 guy. Both of those guys have stood up and played. Abraham also played with his hand in the dirt coming off the edge, which Reese can do, and which Bailey would do. Bailey, they'll walk him out a little bit, but Bailey will make his money strictly as a pass rusher. You won't put him in space like you're going to put Reese and some of those other guys.
Joey, one of the things that really impressed me, having seen him play in person on several occasions and then getting to interview him, is John Abraham was a high school sprinter. He was a 100, 200, 400 guy. He could get that first step in the ground, and he could also rotate. They call it the hula hoop drill, where you got to go and spin around and really work on your balance while working at full speed. His ability to be able to get around bodies and people that were trying to push him down and keep his balance, and with that additional speed that he had from where he trained back when he was in high school, I think that was such a difference maker for him for obvious reasons. David Bailey is the number 2 pick overall. Any final thoughts before we move on to Arizona?
Well, David, I will say this. I will say this. David Bailey, from an analytics standpoint, had the fastest get off from point A to point B than any player in this draft. So you talked about the things with John Abraham. David Bailey in this draft had the quickest get off of any rusher in this draft.
Yeah, and folks that are watching, hey, he's criticizing David Bailey because he was saying he can't run like John Abraham. No. I'm just saying this is what I know about Abraham. And I'm also saying that David Bailey, Joey, thank you very much, also has the fastest time. We're just doing a comparison. It's okay. All good. All right, Vincent, any thoughts here before we move on to Arizona being the number 3 pick?
I'm a big production guy. All I'm saying is David Bailey, I just mentioned, 19 sacks, I think you're getting a player that's very mature, and you're getting a player that's ready to play right off the bat. And the Jets needs that. And let's be honest, gentlemen, Aaron Glenn is going to be under a lot of pressure. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Hey, Joey, you've been in New York before. You understand what a lot of pressure is. Were you there at the time where every one of the defensive linemen for the New York Jets was a first-round draft pick? Bradshaw, there's so many other guys. It was just an amazing defense, but they couldn't score any points. Yep. So they were still the Jets, right? What do they need to work on? What are some of the things before we move ahead? Let me put my slide back, and we're going to talk about the Jets one more second. They're obviously taking care of their defensive line. One of the defensive line needs with – at the time, their number one guy on the board.
Yes, I would think that he was the number one guy on the board. I would think with their next pick, because they have 2 picks in this round, that they would either go after another receiver to match up with the receiver they have, or another corner, someone in the secondary. But, for a team, right now is a great time to be a Jets because now your optimism is at its peak. But when Sunday comes, the reality is in last year's calendar football year, you didn't have an interception. So you better get help to be able to get players that can turn the ball over, create a pass rush to help get an interception because they're the only team in modern day football, I'm going to put it this way, in modern history, to finish a season without an interception. So you better find a way to address that.
We talked about what a steaming hot pile of poo that was, but hey, we're going to move on to Arizona right now, gentlemen. They are on the clock. The pick is in. They need a quarterback, a tackle, an edge, a safety, defensive tackle. They need a few things. They were close in a whole lot of games. They were really close. I mean, they were losing by less than 10 points. Near the end of the season, it was a little bit different. But, gosh, losing to Seattle or San Francisco or in the division with the Rams, so tough that they got 6 of their games against those teams, and every one of them won 10 games last year. First and foremost, Vincent, your thought. You still have Reese. You still have Jeremiah Love. Mauigoa, Caleb Downs, and Sonny Styles are on the board. That's your top 5 remaining picks.
Well, like I said, Arizona needs a lot of everything. When you look at them, last year they was pretty good offensively. Jacoby Brissett turned out to be a pretty good quarterback. So where they had their problems was on the defensive side of the ball. They were 27th in total defense last year. Passing, defending the pass, they were 24th. Rushing, they gave almost 130 yards rushing. So the young man from Ohio State, who Joey said might be the best defensive player in the draft. I didn't say best player, but I'm listening to Mr. Clinkscales. I'm loving that he likes Mr. Reese a lot. To me, that'll be the safe pick. But I still think, yes, sir, that young man right there.
Pick is in, gentlemen. Pick is in.
That's a game changer type player there.
I'm assuming it's going to be Jeremiah Love. I mean, they could go a lot of different directions, but I'm assuming it should be Jeremiah Love. Okay.
It is, gentlemen. Yeah, and you have him as number 1. Is he kind of like what Atlanta has when you've got a guy that can do a little bit of everything and catch the ball out of the backfield? He's a good enough blocker, and he can scoot. He can get around the edge.
Well, somebody made a comparison with the kid from Detroit yesterday. And
okay.
I think there's some of him in this player, but I also think going back a long time ago, this kid has some Marcus Allen in him. So I think if a combination of I can't think of the kid's name right now, the running back from the Lions right now, Gibbs
or Montgomery?
Gibbs. I think between Gibbs and Marcus Allen, if they had a child, it'd be Jeremiah Love.
It'd be good. Well, you had him as the number 1 guy on the board for you, right? From an athletic standpoint, is it also because of his difference-making ability? His ability to make a first down out of a 2-yard loss, his ability to make a 20-yard gain, a 40-yard gain. Is it, getting in the end zone and find the way that he did against a good but not great Notre Dame team? Give me some more insight, Joey.
Well, I think all those things are good, but let me tell you, but let me tell you what made him the 3rd pick. Along with all that, he has not fumbled in his Notre Dame career. Okay. Let me say that again. He has not fumbled in his Notre Dame career.
Did he fumble at all when he was at Notre Dame? Do you happen to know that? Is there a stat?
I don't think he fumbled at all.
Okay.
I don't think he fumbled at all in his Notre Dame career. He is an excellent pass pro blocker. The most important player on your team is the quarterback. So
Yes.
young running backs, if you can't pass pro for the quarterback, then you're going to sit until you can pass pro, because you can get a lot of guys to run the ball with
Yep.
efficiency,
You better
but
block.
you better be able to block for that
You
quarterback.
better
This kid
block.
can block. And
Yeah.
then, had he not been a running back, he would probably be a high pick as a wide receiver. So given all that, along with his skill as a runner, his ability to make a 2-yard gain, a 30-yard gain, all those things are factors in this guy being really the highest running back taken, since maybe Saquon at number 5 a couple of years back. So this kid is he's got
Bijan was 4, wasn't he, with the Falcons? So yeah,
since Bijan, yeah. So and this guy has a ton of ability, and again, he's going to walk in the door, and guess what? At the number 3 pick in the draft, I got news for you. He's walking in the door as the highest paid running back in NFL history right now.
Wow.
He's going to sign a 4-year deal, worth roughly $50 million, which is above everybody playing right now.
Do me a small favor. Tell me another thing. Does the fact that Notre Dame had 2 different running backs, does that help in terms of his durability, and that he didn't have to? Well, he did split time. He didn't have to take the load in his entire self. I know Vincent has said that he loves the kid from Arkansas, but he was the one-man band. I'm thinking that the ability that this young man has in saying, I'm a little bit fresher, I didn't have as many carries. You saw what I can do. You still picked me 3rd overall, but my legs are fresh compared to some of the other guys.
Yeah, I mean, he was just the best player in my opinion. Now, that being said, he did not have a ton of mileage like some of the other running backs may have had in the past. In today's football, all these running backs are kind of interchangeable because of NIL, and if you don't play a guy, he's going to transfer. So, a lot of guys are playing football today. None of those guys are just in there every play anymore. That's the way it used to be. It's not that way anymore. So the fact that his carries have been limited, he's been super productive with the carries that he's had. I think all those things are attractive to an NFL team, because now we feel like we can get this guy, especially if he's a good player, through a second contract. We're not worried about
guys. The pick is in for Tennessee. Give me your thoughts, Vincent, before we even go. Tennessee, obviously, Cam Ward got beat up a little bit, but the potential, gosh, he got such great experience of being in there, having to go through the tough times. Give me your thoughts here about Tennessee, Vincent, as they are not only on the clock, but their pick is in now.
Well, Tennessee needs a lot of help everywhere. Jeffrey Simmons needs help on the defensive side of the ball. Evel Reese will be an excellent picker. I think he's the best player right now on the board. But if I'm Tennessee, I'm looking to get the young man out of Texas, Cam Ward, some help. Maybe a receiver could go right here. I don't know, but I like Malachi Lemon out of USC. That might be too high for him, but I think Cam Ward needs some more playmakers around. That's just my personal opinion. Jordan Tyson might be a pick here, but I think the Titans are going to go defense. But me, I would love to see him go a little offense and give Cam Ward some help on the outside. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Well, Francis Mauigoa, tackle out of Miami, would be a great fit. He's the number 5 overall pick, and again, this is the 4th pick. Joey, your thoughts here? You agree?
I'm going Sonny Styles. I'm not going Reese. I'm going Sonny Styles.
Really? So Arvell Reese, who was rated number 1 on several people's board, nope, they went with Carnell Tate. How about that? Carnell Tate.
Bingo!
University.
Receiver.
I had him ranked at number 13 overall, gentlemen. He was the number 3 for his position. His grade was 89, but my son Brian has said on numerous occasions, if you want to have a great wide receiver room, just pick somebody from Ohio State University. Does that fall into place here at all for you, Joey?
Yeah, I like the pick. That might have been a little rich for him. I understand there's a need. I mean, when you have a franchise quarterback, and I watched that quarterback play a lot last season, and I do think he has franchise quarterback potential. You have to get him some help. Their receiver core was porous, and that's been nice. So the only thing that concerns me, and I like, for me, this was the best receiver in this draft. A lot of people had a lot of different things. I studied this guy. This was the best receiver in this draft. The thing that scares me, though, is he's never been a number 1 receiver. He's at Ohio State. The other kid is the number 1 receiver. He's the number 2 receiver, okay? So he's never been the number one receiver. So now you're asking a guy who's never been the guy to go into a program and have to be the guy. Okay, that comes with a little bit of pressure, and especially when you're the fourth pick of the draft, it comes with a lot of pressure. So it'll be interesting to see, but I think they are doing a good job of putting people around this quarterback.
With the Giants on the clock, Vincent, you had just said it. You got to get somebody to help out. This is the biggest, best guy that they've selected on purpose. There's other guys that might be a little bit faster, but the combination of the size, the speed, where he came from, being a big play guy, they thought that he and Cam Ward, maybe Cam had something to do with that. Going, hey, I like this kid a lot. I like watching him on film. I think they could have something here. Your thoughts here, Vincent, if you don't mind?
Mike has dropped one key point: 17 yards a catch. I don't have to say no more. At Ohio State, even though he wasn't the number one, 17 yards a catch. On what? Let me see. 51 receptions, 875 yards. I love the pick. And Nashville is only 4 hours away from Atlanta. How nice is that?
Well, the New York
might be seeing some Titan game.
And their pick is in, so we're not having a whole heck of a lot of time. Joey, they're not messing around here today.
No,
they
you know who you want to pick at this point. I mean, your board has been set, and if your guy's there, you're not wasting time.
It's unbelievable to me how quickly this is going. I love it. It doesn't give us a whole lot of time for commentary, but we will just catch everybody up. The first player, Fernando Mendoza, goes to the Las Vegas Raider. Number 2, David Bailey, goes to the New York Jets. Jeremiah Love at number 3 is now an Arizona Cardinal, has the rights there. Carnell Tate with Tennessee is the number 4 player selected overall. He is a Tennessee Titan. Now, New York Giants, the G-Men, we don't have their pick yet, but gentlemen, they need a wide receiver, a guard. Obviously, Joey, you said last night on our show, wide receiver is a top pick for them. The highest one on the board right now still is USC receiver Mekhi Lemon. He's ranked at number 10, but he's the highest wide receiver, at least for right now. Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State is also right there with it. Give me your thoughts.
They got to be going defense, though. I mean, you still have 2 Ohio State guys on the board. We actually have 3 if you count the safety. But I think that head coach is going to go defense here. I know they need a receiver, and I think here, because I think they have a pick at number 10, they could also consider a receiver. I think they're going to take the best player on their board, and it's going to be one of those defensive guys.
That's the fun thing about doing this is where Cleveland and Washington, for example, if this goes as it has and you pick the number 13 guy overall, everybody's moving up. I can see a lot of salivation going on right now. We didn't think this guy was even going to be there. And if he is, Arvell Reese, for example, the number 1 guy overall. Vincent, your thoughts here before we get the Giant pick?
Caleb Downs. John Harbaugh is in love with him. Think about this. Even though the Giants were winning the Super Bowl back in the mid-'80s, and Harper, you was in the league at the time along with yourself, Joey, they did have a pretty good football player that really kind of played the back nine of that defense. The young man out of Clemson, Terry Kennard, safety out of Clemson. I just see Caleb Downs going right here because John Harbaugh made it point blank last week that he loves him as a football player. And I think this one, Mr. Downs, comes off the board, but I could be wrong. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Well, I know you wanted him to be wearing a star on his helmet. I know that for a
That's
fact.
true. I was hoping we made a trade right now.
Well, I know
you don't have to make a trade. You don't have to do. You're wasting trades. You don't have to make a trade.
I'm talking that. I feel like Caleb Downs is a player. I don't see him getting to us at 12, but let's see. I love the football player.
Arvell Reese is still on the board. Francis Malagoa out of Miami, the 6'6", 330-pound offensive tackle. He's listed as the number 1 tackle, number 5 player overall in this team.
He's my number 2 tackle. I think I would take Fano before I took Malioga, me personally.
Okay. Well, Monroe Freeling out of the University of Georgia also has moved up on several people.
I love him.
That's a pretty good football player. That guy's a real good player out of the University of Georgia.
I love him.
Well, we're still waiting for the pick to come in officially. Again, wide receiver, guard, cornerback, defensive tackle, offensive tackle are the needs that ESPN has reported that New York, at least the New York Giants have. We're still waiting. Are they in a commercial? They got to be in a commercial.
Yeah, they're a commercial. I'm looking at it, but I'm telling you that I would be shocked if the pick is not Style or Reese. Now, I would say Styles because Reese is kind of similar to the other defensive linemen that they have. Now,
what about Ruben Bain? My gosh, as good as he is right now,
they could go Bain. It's too high at number 5 for an interior guy. They just lost an interior guy. They traded to Cincinnati. So I would be surprised if at 5 they went anything other than a pass rusher because between 5 and 10, 2 pass rushers could come off the board. So I would really be shocked if they took anything other than a pass rusher here.
But they still kind of got a lot of hopes for Abdullah. What's the young man they took out of Penn State last year?
Yeah,
Abdullah Carter.
Yeah, and he's more of a five technique player, but the way they have used him now, it's a new staff, a new regime. But tell me this: when they won the Super Bowl back, when they beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, they had 4 pass rushers on that team, and that was the difference because they had guys they could on passing downs they could move inside a 3 technique and they'll play over the guard's head and beat the guards with speed and quickness. So I think if you're trying to do that, go ahead.
Are you talking about Pierre-Paul, Tuck, Strahan, and Omiyon? Every one of those dudes was 280, and they had a waist that was about this big, Joey.
Absolutely. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, so there's a blueprint for how to do certain things. And despite what you have on the back end, you have to be able to do it on the front end.
I have a question then, if I can ask y'all gentlemen.
Sure.
So, Joey, you giving up on Kayvon Thibodeau?
I wasn't super high on him in the beginning, but yeah, I mean, he's a good football player, but he does not have the same twitch factor as either Styles or Reese. Now Reese is a little bit more, but Reese's upside is bigger than anybody's.
Okay, I'm just asking because I know the Giants they still have Mr. Thibodeau, California boy out of LA, where our great host is from. So I'm just saying, why would you still want to, pass rush? Caleb Downs.
Guess what? 4 pass rushes are better than 3.
Yeah,
do the math.
And 5 is better than 4. Yeah, if you can afford them. If you're not cap strapped for that. And with another pick in the next 5, gosh, Giants are really kind of sitting pretty here. They may entertain an offer or 2, but here's the way I look at it, gentlemen. I got screamed at by some lady one time. We need to get this quarterback out of here. Do you want the 4th best quarterback, or do you want the number 1 guy on the board? Well, who would you want?
Number 1 guy on the board.
Always take the number 1 guy on the board, and if he's your guy also, then winner, chicken dinner. I think it's great. All right, so we're still waiting on the pick to be in. Actually, it is in now. I don't know who it is though. They went with Reese.
It's been in for a long time. So
I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't see that part. All right, so here we go, gentlemen. Arvell Reese from Ohio State University. Yep. Vincent, we'll start with you. Great athlete. Gosh, he can run like the wind. Strong, powerful. He's a tackling machine. Very few things that he needs to work on at 6'4", 245, 240, somewhere in that range. Vincent, your thoughts?
Hey, he's a super football player. He's got all the measurables. The only thing concerning him, don't blow a head gasket. I thought he could have been more productive at Ohio State.
Without question.
With 6.5 sacks, I thought that number should have been higher. 10 tackles for loss, I thought that number should be higher. But he's a good football player. He's played in a pro system, coached by a pro coach, and Matt Patricia, former DC with the Patriots. That's the only thing worries me about Mr. Reese.
So
back to you, gentlemen.
That doesn't worry me as much, but I'll say this. The thing that I harped on is the last 6 games of the season, he did not have a sack. So that bothered me a little bit. However, the things that you like about the player is he's been an off-ball player. So now this season with Matt Patricia, they tried to move him on the ball more. So he's only his ceiling, his floor is low, but his ceiling is really high. his ceiling is really high. So the more football he learns, the more he's at one position and he can play that position, he's going to be fantastic. So I'm excited to see the growth in this player. I think he has a bright future. Once he gets a position, he can stay there, whether it's edge, a 5 technique rusher, a 7 technique rusher. He's going to affect the passer.
Absolutely, and he's joining a team that needs someone that can do that.
We had a trade.
Taylor,
we had a trade. Kansas City's on the clock.
Okay, gentlemen, I was
okay.
The pick was in really early, yeah. So that means that the trade. We'll find out details about that, Joey, if you don't mind. When you get a chance, sure. Let's finish up. If now my helmet decals are all wrong. Let me go back in here. New York Giants, Orville Weiss. One more thing from you, Vincent, if you don't mind. Here's a guy that comes into a system. Very important to be able to slow down everyone in the division with Philadelphia, obviously, Washington, Dallas. Dallas's offense, you got to slow them down. They were the number 2 offense in the league. Their defense didn't help them out very much, but in terms of being able to be a little bit better, they just got bigger. Certainly they did. Your final thoughts here before we move on.
Hey, like I said, the Giants, like Mr. Clinkscales just said, you can't have enough pass rushes. They got Thibodeau now. They got Carter now. Now they bring in Mr. Reese. You brought up a good point, Mr. LeBel. The quarterbacks in the division are pretty good. Hurts, Daniels, Dak Prescott, who I think this year will prove to everybody he's the best quarterback in that division. Hey, why not get more pass rushes? But to me, it's very unusual. I'm going to stay with this. You got a guy in Thibodeau, and you got a dual Carter. And I'm going to say one more thing. Jackson Dart, their quarterback, who played very well last year, is kind of injury prone. So I'm just saying it might, in my mind, backed up and thought about an offensive lineman. But I give it back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Yeah, I would agree with that. When you're getting sacked 4 or 5 times a quarter, you got to protect the quarterback a little bit later.
Yeah. You know what? But some of that is on the quarterback.
Sure.
That's the conversation I had about, and I don't want to go down this road, but about Shedeur Sanders last year. The tape I showed, he was sacked 42 times. 18 of those sacks were his fault. Yep. Okay, so when we're studying quarterbacks and we're studying how many times they get sacked, a lot of times it's on the quarterback. It's not on the offensive line. If you're moving around and the linemen don't know where you're going to be, then guess what? It's not on the quarterback. I mean, it's not on the offensive lineman to be Houdini to figure out where you're going to be. So it's on the quarterback to be in where he's supposed to be.
All right, the pick is in now. Mansour Delane, cornerback out of LSU, is a part of the Kansas City Chiefs right now.
I thought he'd be the first corner taken. So
talk a little bit about this trade now.
So Cleveland got the 9th pick. They got a third round pick and a 5th round pick.
Really?
So it wasn't a whole lot.
What did Cleveland? Why didn't they get another first or a second at least in this draft? They get a 3rd and a 5th.
They switched spots.
Yes,
they switched, and then they got a 3rd and a 5th.
Right, they dropped back 4 spots. I get it, but from number 6, that's pretty interesting. Kansas City ends up moving up. It only costs them a 3rd and a 5th, and they get to move up 4 slots. Mansour Delane, Joey, you said he's the number 1 corner for you. Tell us why.
Without question. When I watched this kid, I saw a kid that can play man-to-man coverage. I mean, he's got great feet. He's a great athlete. He's got speed. He's got agility. There was nothing he couldn't do, and he could tackle. Okay, he's not just hold him up to the cavalry get there. He's not afraid to shoot his guns and put a guy down with a low tackle. I really like this player, and again, he was my top corner. And Kansas City was in it. I mean, they traded their best corner to the Rams because I'm sorry, was it the Rams they traded? Yeah,
yes.
To the Rams because they didn't want to have to pay him the kind of money that he was demanding. So they got the best corner in this draft who should come in and be a really good football player.
Washington is on the clock. Vincent, before we go to the Commanders, give me your thoughts here on Mansour Delane. Tell me what you agree with regarding what Joey's comments were for him.
No question about it. He's probably the best corner in the draft. They had to do something there with Trent McDuffie going to the Rams, along with their second best corner, Jalen Watson, going over to the Rams. But to me, that's pressure. I hope he be the best corner in the draft because look what he's going to be facing week in and week out in that AFC. Chase, Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, and putting a rookie out there, to me, that's a lot of pressure. And you talking about a Kansas City team, let's be honest here. It's Super Bowl or bust. Because you know Patrick Mahomes and them will come back motivated. And with Travis Kelce coming back, not retiring, that's going to be a lot of pressure on the young man playing the corner. Oh, he gonna get that smoke starting opening week. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
I got news for you. We were all rookies at one point, so that's what it comes with the territory.
Everybody gets to be a rookie once, right? Don't you, Joey? Every once in a while, one time.
Everybody get hazed. You just gotta keep growing. You gotta grow.
But you talking about a team that want to get back to the Super Bowl? Lot of pressure.
That's why they took him in number 9.
A team that's won 3 and 5 years. A team that right now they're not looking at no playoffs. They're putting that young man in a pressure situation. But he's a good football player. I say this. What I like about the young man, he had 45 tackles, 11 passes he defended, and he had 2 interceptions. No question about it. But I'm just saying that's going to be a lot of pressure. Back to y'all.
Yep. And he's also got about 12 other guys there on his defense that are pretty dang good. They're not great, but they're pretty good. Washington on the clock, gentlemen. Wide receiver, cornerback, offensive line, running back, and safety. Could this be where Caleb Downs goes? Joey, I'll start with you.
I don't think he goes here. He could, but the reason why I don't, because you have a young quarterback who was hurt a lot last year. So you're either gonna get him another weapon on the outside, or you're going to hopefully help him on the offensive line. I think Washington.
Francis Malagoa, he's still on he's listed as the number 5 player overall. This would be the number 7 pick. That would be a value pick, if you ask me. Am I wrong?
Well, it'll be a value pick, but it could be a need pick because again, they need help on the offensive line. So I would be curious. I mean, but the head coach is a defensive guy. We worked together in New York. Yeah. Dan Quinn, really, really good guy, good dude. So I'd be curious to where they go here. But when you have a young quarterback who you think has a chance to be a franchise quarterback, then you want to put everything around him you can to make him to get him playing his best.
Well, you got Malagoa, Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles. You got Ruben Bain. Those are defense. Mekhi Lemon is the number 1 receiver on the board. He's ranked number 10.
I like Bain too. I really do. But I'm not sure I wouldn't go with offensive lineman.
All right. Well, the selection was Sonny Styles, 6'5", 244-pound linebacker out of Ohio State. Congratulations, Sonny Styles. You're going to the nation's capital, young man.
That's a good pick. They stuck with their board. I'm sure he was the highest rated guy on their board. They stuck with their board, which is you never go wrong if you stick with your board.
Your thoughts, Vincent? Sonny Styles, good football player now. This guy can bring it.
Disappointed. I would have loved for him to be a Cowboy, but that's a good pick for Washington because they got one of the edge rushers. Von Miller is 37 years old, and you can't continuously win with players getting old like that. And most of all, the pressure's on Dan Quinn. This is year 3. He got to win based on what happened last year. And the Redskins really struggled defensively. They were 32nd in total defense last year. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Well, Washington gets a need right here, Sonny Styles, and I'll go with you next, Joey. Obviously, defensively, I think he's a tweener in that he can play 2, maybe 3 different positions, inside, outside. He can play as an edge rusher. He can be a guy that you bring in, you drop him back into coverage. His athleticism and his size really speak volumes. So a defensive coordinator like Dan Quinn probably sees a lot of different opportunities for him to be on the field.
Well, it's a beautiful thing because this kid was a lot more physical than Arvell Reese was. And this kid came to Ohio State as a safety. So he started on the back end and worked his way up for a guy that's, 6'4" and 240 something and running 4.4. He's a man child, but he's a physical guy, which is what you really like about him. And again, he's played inside backer. They'll probably play him at maybe Sam, maybe Will because he can run and he can cover in the short area. and he can run with guys down the field if you need him to because of the speed and the size for a guy that's 6'5", 244. That's what they're saying. So
Well,
it's amazing.
If you're a Buckeye fan, you got 3 of your first 7 draft picks here in this draft are Buckeyes. So you got to be pretty pleased with that, knowing full well that very soon there could be a 4th. Gosh, when was it? A couple years ago when the
Saints pick is in.
Okay, here we go. We didn't even get. I'm telling you what, gentlemen, this is just flying by. I mean, we don't even have enough time to really, get a sip of water, and the next pick is in. Saints have plenty of needs. I'll just mention for you, edge rusher. Gosh, Bain would be great there for him. Wide receiver, cornerback, a guard, maybe a tackle, and then linebacker. Vincent, I'll start with you. What do the Houdat's need?
If I'm the Houdat's, I'm taking a receiver. Simply because I don't know Chris Avale. I don't know if he can stay healthy. You made a decision to have Tyler Shaw is going to be your quarterback. I think they need a big receiver. And I think it might be Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State. Even though Mekhi Lemon is still rated the best receiver on the board, there's a lot of teams like that young man out of Arizona State. And the only reason Jordan Tyson is not, I think, the high-rated top receiver in this draft because he stayed injured a lot at Arizona State. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Joey, real quick, if there's a lot of wide receivers on the board, can I wait till number 2, 3, or 4 to get one that's pretty doggone good and might want to get the best tackle or the best guy on the board? Francis,
I think so. I think so. I think you either take the best tackle there or you take the best defensive lineman who can rush the passer. So like a Ruben Bain would be here because your best defensive lineman is like 36 years old. So Ruben Bain would be able to fit right in there. So, a guy like that, I would certainly consider.
You don't like Chase Young? You don't like Chase Young?
Chase Young can't get a long-term contract. Do you like Chase Young?
I was just saying he had a pretty decent season last year. Excuse me, Mr. LeBel. I was just asking.
It's all good. We're just having a debate here.
I like the athlete, and last year was his best year.
Well, Joey, you said it just a few minutes ago. If you have 3 pass rushers and you can get a 4th, I'm not disappointed in that. Are you mad if you get 5? If I get 5 guys who can rush your quarterback, am I a mad, upset, angry head coach or defensive coordinator? Absolutely not. You need everybody.
You can dictate the game if you can rush the passer. Yeah. You can dictate how the game is going to go if you can rush the passer.
When we were on Arvell Reese a little bit earlier about, only having 6 cycles, how many pressures did he have? How many was he close? I mean, I know those aren't measurables that may be important to some people. To me, it's like, hey, if the guy knows I'm coming and I come and he gets rid of the ball a little bit early and it's incomplete, I'm okay with it. That's a pressure. And guess what? And they bring out the punt team. So I'm okay with certain things. All right, we just still don't have to pick in yet from New Orleans, but the Houdats, they were 6-11 last year. They were dead last in the NFC, but they kind of got some things together there at the end of the year. More kind of things clicked a little bit differently, and they're going with a rookie quarterback, and they've got a young system and understanding of it. And the veterans maybe not be playing quite as much, but they came on. They won 3 or 4 of their last ball games. I think they were moving in the right directions. They moved up rather than moved down. Your thoughts there, Vincent?
I'm totally agreeable with you. I thought they was playing the best football in the NFC South at the end of the year. I was very surprised Taylor Shaw came on to decide to go with him. And I think Kellen Moore did an outstanding job. And they had a lot of key injuries last year. The Saints are looking up. And as you just said, Harper, I was very pleased with what they did at the end of last season.
Yeah, a lot of things going on there. New Orleans has several different options. We just talked about a couple of them. Francis Mauigoa, again, 6'6", 330-pound tackle. He's the number 1 rated tackle. We haven't seen a single one of them go off the board. Ruben Bain, 6'2", 263. Here's a guy that's a little bit smaller than Ruben Bain in terms of his height and weight, but that 263 really it's not Aaron Donald type number, but I think he reminds me a little bit more of that type of player where he's going to be a little bit lower and get great leverage on guys and especially be able to move his hands and have a second move. Joey, your thoughts here on Ruben?
I like Ruben. The talk with Ruben was previously about the short arms, but the leverage he plays with, I think, kind of neutralizes that because he can get low and he can bend the corner and do different things. So, from a football standpoint, I really like some of the things that Ruben can do.
I appreciate you saying that. A few years ago, when Aaron Donald was on the board, the day before the draft here in Atlanta, John Fricke, a local sports show host, had Jerry Glanville on. Jerry, a lot of different guys in the draft. Is there anyone that really sticks out to you? And Jerry says, I know he's in about the top 10 or 15 right now. This kid out of Pittsburgh, he's something else. I haven't seen a guy like him for years. And he was talking about Aaron Donald. And Hall of Fame career, absolutely. Wins a Super Bowl, goes to Super Bowl, excuse me. But I'm just saying that here's a guy that impressed the right people. Joey, when you say something about Ruben Bain, about, his consideration in terms of his arms are a little short, I don't care if he's a ball player. I don't care. Can he play? Those are the three words that I want to ask anybody. Can he play? And he certainly can.
Yes, he can, without question. He's a
We're
great
still
player.
waiting for Nick to be in. Is this another commercial break for ESPN? You got to wait till they come back?
Yes, it's another commercial. Yes, we're waiting.
Yep. All right. Well, the pick is in for the New Orleans Saints. And there are some folks that already know it. If you are on Instagram or Facebook, or if you've got a friend that's there in Pittsburgh, one of the how many people have they shown yet, or they announced? Every year it gets bigger, even though we don't know. I mean, I don't know if it is a counter, but there were 30,000 people in Detroit a couple years ago. About that same number in Philadelphia. What can you tell from your vantage point, Joey?
It's a lot of people there. I'm not sure it's that many, but it could be. It's a ton of people there. I would venture to say it's close to 200,000.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. All right, we're still waiting up selection in. Jordan Tyson, wide receiver, 6'2", 203 pounds, out of Arizona State University. He was the number 2 wide receiver, number 12 overall. Congratulations. He is now a member of the Who Dat Nation. Vincent, we'll start with you. Jordan Tyson.
As I said, he was a gentleman that would have probably been rated real high, maybe the number 1 receiver. The only concern, he had injuries this past year. And he's had some injuries in his career, but he's a guy that's very explosive. His oldest brother right now plays in the NBA with the Cleveland Cavaliers. So they come from an athletic family. But like I said, young man, 61 receptions, 711 yards, averaged almost 16 yards a catch, 8 touchdowns. And you got to think that Chris Avila, the starting receiver out of Ohio State the last couple of years for the Saints, has had concussion problems. So to me, I think this is a pick that the Saints had to make based on Chris Avila's condition.
Joey,
back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Yep.
This is a really good football player. I'm not super sure about the top end speed, but I know he's a great route runner. He's got great hands. He's super tough. He's very competitive. I like a lot of things about this player, and he was a good pick. And again, the injury history, the Saints doctors would have had to clear him because you would hate to think you're getting a guy that has a history, and he's got a small history of injuries. But some people are just, from a body standpoint, their disposition is, they always get hurt because of the bone structure and all this. So hopefully that's not the case with this player because he is a really good football player.
Well, congratulations to him. And now it looks like the pick is in now. Cleveland didn't need any time at all, really just a minute or two in that commercial break. Quarterback, wide receiver, tackle, guard. So that's an offensive line need. And then cornerbacks as well. Francis Malagoa and Mekhi Lemon are the 2 top guys that are considered for this. Cleveland has 2 picks in the first round. We'll start with you, Vincent. Your thoughts here about the Browns moving back 4 slots. They get 2 extra players in the draft, but your thoughts here about Cleveland?
To me, right here, you need a receiver. I'm gonna ask both of you gentlemen right here. Y'all been impressed with Jerry Jeudy being in Cleveland the last couple of years, making all that money?
No, I'm not. I mean, I think Jerry Jeudy is a number 2 receiver, and I think any receiver they get right now is a number 2 receiver. So I wouldn't take a receiver right here, especially with the extra picks in the second round. I think this is a receiver laden draft. So I think in the second round, you can really get a guy that can really run, maybe a little shorter, but you can get a big guy that can run and do some different things. So I would take the best available player here. And for me, I don't think the best available player for my team needs, if I'm the Cleveland Browns, is a wide receiver.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna agree with Mr. LeBel. For the last couple of picks, Mr. LeBel has been really lobbying for offensive linemen, especially a tackle out of Miami. I think that might be a good player for the Browns right here because they need offensive line help. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Well, Cleveland has needed help at the quarterback position for years. I don't think they're going for one now. But if you look at how many different quarterbacks they've had in the past 3 decades, it's almost embarrassing to think about how many different people have had an opportunity to play there. I wish Shedeur Sanders the best. I'm just saying, somehow or another, when you got Joe Thomas there as your best and only lineman who's available for you to protect your quarterback, he was a mainstay. But you know what? It didn't make much of a difference because there weren't people around. So I don't know exactly how to answer Cleveland's problems. The fact that they have 2 picks should be a great addition for them. Joey, your thoughts here before we go to the Browns pick?
I think they should either, again, I'm going to go with a pass rusher because to go opposite. Now, I take that back because they had a guy opposite the defensive player of the year who actually didn't play bad at all. So I would say they're either going to get a safety or they're going to get an offensive lineman. And they need offensive linemen. No matter who plays quarterback, they need to keep them upright.
Yeah. Francis Malago, again, we've mentioned his name now since probably pick 5, and here we're at pick number 9. Cleveland is on the clock. They had a trade with the Kansas City Chiefs. They switched first-round picks. They picked up a 3rd and a 5th round, right? Is that correct, Joey? A 3rd and 5th round from
yes.
In order to move up. The Chiefs ended up selecting Mansour Delane, the cornerback out of LSU. Cleveland now is on the clock, and supposedly their pick is in with all of the needs that they have. Malagoa or Mekhi Lemon. Here's another guy. Yeah, he's rated number 10 overall. This is the 9th pick. I don't think they're reaching for him. I think it would be great for them to pick up another guy, another selection or 2, and go with the guy that they may have had in mind the whole time. So we'll find out. The pick is not actually in yet, even though, well, yes, it's it. Okay, Cleveland has taken Spencer Fanow, 6 foot, 311-pound offensive tackle out of the University of Utah. I have where was he? Gosh, he's down the board a little bit. I have him as a number 19 on my board. Is that about accurate where you guys had him?
He was my number, as I said earlier, he was my number 1 offensive lineman. Spencer Fanow was my number 1 offensive lineman.
Well, congratulations to him. Go right ahead, Joey. Please continue.
He is an excellent athlete, excellent player. I mean, he is over 300 pounds. He ran 4.9 at the combine. But if you watch him play, I think he's given up 1 or 2 sacks in 2 years. He's athletic, probably the most athletic tackle in this draft. It's not a lot he played right tackle. He has left tackle potential. The other tackle at Utah gave up 0 sacks this year, and he'll be probably, if not a late first-round pick, a second-round pick. And he profiles to me as a right tackle, but this guy played right tackle there, can play left tackle. It's not a lot to dislike about him.
Vincent, real quick, the Giants are on the clock and their pick is in. So give me your thoughts here about Spencer going to the Cleveland Browns.
Safe pick. Cleveland needs a lot of help in a lot of areas, but offensive line at that high, and based on the fact we don't know who's going to be their starting quarterback, that's going to be a very excellent pick for them. You're always building on the offensive line, and I think Todd Monken, the new head coach, University of Georgia offensive coordinator, Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator, he's off to a good foot, and he's playing it safe because you can't go wrong when you get quality offensive tackles.
Well, speaking of offensive tackles, the Giants pick is in. New York Giants, their next selection. Hold on, I got to find my spot here. My Giants logo, I lost it. There it is. Gentlemen, please forgive me for that. Francis Malagoa, offensive tackle out of Miami. He's finally off the board. He was the number 5 player overall, and he is now a New York Giant. I think it's a great value for them if they were looking for a tackle anyways. He's the number 1 pick on the board. I know, Joey, you may have a different spot for him, but nonetheless, here's in my opinion, great pick.
It's a great pick for them. Francis would have been my number 3 tackle, to be honest with you. I like the kid from Georgia actually a little better because to me, Francis. Let me start by saying that he's a good athlete. He's tough. He played a lot of football in his life. I just personally like the Georgia tackle a little better than I like Francis because this guy profiles to me more as a guard than a tackle. I think he'll start a tackle, but I really think at the end of the day, this guy's going to be a guard because I think edge speed is going to give him a little bit of trouble.
Okay. Your thoughts, Vincent?
Hey, excellent pick. What more you can say? But I like Moreau Freeland, though, the kid out of Georgia. I think right now he's probably, in my opinion, was one of the best tackles left on the board. Maybe the best tackle because I like what he done in the University of Georgia system. But you can't go wrong when you're picking offensive lineman this high, and that's how you really build championship teams on the line of scrimmage.
Well, just interesting selections. The way it's going, the Dallas Cowboys are now on the clock.
Nope, the Dolphins are on the clock. And number 11.
Okay, you're going to have to forgive me because I'm showing that there may be a trade then, evidently. Because the pick is in, the 11th pick. We'll find out in just a few seconds. But what I'm seeing right now is the Cowboys are on the clock. So we'll have development in just a moment, whether or not that's
okay. Well, hold on. It says trade alert. So, yes, there was the Dolphins. I said the Dolphins pick is in. No, Dolphins trade pick. So the Cowboys move up one spot. So I'm curious to see why they would move up one spot.
Why do you move up one? Yeah, unless see, that's an interesting scenario where the Dolphins go to move back and still get the guy that we want, unless Dallas does something very interesting. Go over that.
Well, the Dolphins may have had other suitors, and the Cowboys felt like if they didn't move up that one spot,
someone else was going to take him.
Someone else was going to do it. So, I mean, they might have got fleeced from that standpoint, but let's see.
Okay.
Well, we'll see who Vincent picked here.
Yeah, who did you get, Vincent? Who are you looking at right now? You're already clapping and jumping
around. I tried to tell him the safety would be here. He didn't have to move up to get the safety if that's what he wanted.
Caleb Downs, and I'm very surprised. Caleb Downs.
You shouldn't be. I'm just telling you shouldn't be. He's a great football player, but speed is a concern.
All right, we're not quite sure yet. The pick is in with the Cowboys that they were on the clock, so we'll find out. Please tell me, gentlemen, we're not in another commercial.
No, they're just talking about the Miami.
All right. Well, when the commissioner goes into the board, that's when I know that I can start getting ready to do this. Vincent, if this is a Caleb Downs pick for you, you spoke about it last night on our draft preview show. Excuse me. There are going to be a lot of happy Cowboy fans. I know Caleb would be a little upset that he slipped from 6 to 12, or excuse me, to number 11. But going to the Dallas Cowboys is not a place for him to be. His father was a Giant, so there may be a little of an animosity between. Dad may not want to go to a Cowboy game and be seen in Jerry's world, but you know what? To watch your kid play, you're going to make it happen.
I'm very pleased. I think the Cowboys, based on what I said last night on the show, I like what the Cowboys done in free agency. The number one goal was to improve the defense. 32nd against the pass. They were 31st overall. I like what we done in the offseason. We bring in Rashad Gary. Now we got three, I want to say, former Pro Bowl linemen on the D-line with Quentin Williams, Rashad Gary, Kenny Clark. I think we got a very hell of a linebacker, Demario Overshown, if he could stay healthy. But the most thing that hurt the Cowboys last year, they gave up more yards in the passing game than any team in the league. And now what they went out, they got Jalen Thompson, a very good safety from Arizona. They got Mr. Kobe Durant, corner out of L.A., the Rams, who had 2 interceptions in the playoffs. Then they got P.J. Lockett, a very good football player that played in a nickel-dime situation with the Denver Broncos. Then we got the defensive coordinator, I don't mean to say we, and Christian Parker, who's coming out of Philadelphia Eagles scheme defensively. I'm ecstatic. And to Cowboy Nation, this might put us back in the top or maybe challenging for the division. I know you're looking off Harper and you don't want to really look at that, but the Cowboy Nation is back, baby. And I'm happy if Caleb Downs is the pick. And Mr. Clinkscales, I know you probably didn't like us getting the pick because you're going to question the man's speed. But you need to hear what Nick Saban said yesterday. Out of all the football players in this draft, Caleb Downs was the only player that made more plays at any level playing at Alabama and Ohio State. The mic has dropped. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
All right. When you said, well, I don't mean to say we. You just lied to everybody because you did mean to say we. You know you did. You're caught dead rights. If you were going to be arrested as being a Dallas Cowboy fan, you'd be convicted right now. Convicted. All right, Joe. Your thoughts about Caleb Downs?
Well, Dallas gave up a lot. They gave up. They moved down and gave up 2/3 to move down. So and they didn't have a number 2 pick already. So I'll be. They still have number 20, which was good. So that was a good thing. So if Caleb Downs is the pick, I mean it's a good pick. I'm not going to say that, but you just don't want to get him left on the island in the National Football League. What you can do in college and what you can do in the National Football League is like night and day. But that being said, if I'm being honest, if I'm the Cowboys, I don't pass on Ruben Bain right here. I just don't. So Caleb Downs would be a good pick. I wouldn't complain about that, but I'd be more excited if they took a true pass rusher.
So what you mean, right quick, Harper, I don't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to ask you, Mr. Clinkscales, when you question his speed, what are you saying? He a 4.5 guy? Is that the word that you have?
Well, I'll put it like this. For some teams, if you don't run the 40, it's a red flag. I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay.
And he didn't run it.
I'm going to leave it at that.
Gentlemen, I'm seeing that the pick is still in, but it has not yet been made. The announcement has not been made. It still has not crossed. It may be across his desk, but the commissioner has not made that announcement yet. Are we there? Is that correct?
The pick is still in, and we're in commercial. We've been in commercial for 5 minutes.
That's all right. All right, never mind. All right, now it's me. Caleb Downs. It's 5'11", 206 pound, Ohio State. He was number 6 overall. Congratulations, Vincent. Your safety has been selected. And what did they give up for him? To move up one spot?
Well, they moved up one spot. They gave up pick number 177 and 180. So it cost them. That's either 2/3 or 2/4, wherever that is. But
okay.
And I would have, had I been Miami, I would have done that too for one spot.
All right. Yeah, and Miami now on the clock. All right, let's go, Vincent. Tell us a little bit more about. We've talked about why you wanted him. Now that you got him, what does this do for your secondary?
It's improvement all over the secondary because, like I said, again, I'm going to mention this. We was 32nd against the pass. We gave up 251 yards last year. 30th total overall defensively, ranked 30th. The problem was we couldn't cover on the back end. Teams got deep on us week in and week out. So that being said, I think Mr. Downs is going to be a guy, regardless, he might not ran the 40, but I guarantee you by the time the season starts, he's going to be the most playmaking safety that we've had in a long time playing the back 7, as I call it. And I like what the defense is doing overall. And Christian Parker might be the next starter defensive coordinator that we brought over from Philadelphia, who was the former secondary coach with the Eagles. And we know what the Eagles did year before last. They shut down Kansas City and won the Super Bowl convincingly. And I'm right or wrong? And I'm correct?
Yep, absolutely.
Christian Parker is now D coordinator, the new star in the National Football League. And you know how we do it in Dallas. The microscope is going to be on the Cowboys week in and week out. I can't wait to listen to the sports stations in Texas tomorrow morning. And Troy Aikman has a show, and I know he's excited. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Well, Joey, final thoughts before we move on. Miami is on the clock, and their pick is in. Give me your final thoughts here about Caleb.
It's a good pick. He will be the leader of the defense because he'll be the smartest guy on the field, without question. No, and that's a good thing. I mean, Nick will tell you. I mean, this guy is a coach on the field, so that'll be great. And you have a new coordinator there. I'm not ready to call him a star yet because you got to be able to. And for me, those coaches that get seasoned have to be able to show me something. I'm not saying he can't do it as the coordinator. He just hadn't shown it yet. So I'm excited. I am excited to see what the Cowboys do on defense because they do have a coordinator that I think is going to be really good for them. And again, this player right here will be an extension of the coaching staff. So that's a great thing. If you're a Cowboy fan, you're excited by Caleb Downs because he's an extension of the coaching staff.
Well, congratulations to the Dallas Cowboys. Now the Miami Dolphins are on the clock. Their pick is in. Wide receiver, cornerback, edge, tight end, safety. Ruben Bain and Mekhi Lemon are the two top guys on the board right now. Vincent, we'll start with you with the Dolphins. They ended up with a 7-10 record last year. Just a total FUBAR situation there early on in the year with their coach, their quarterback, a lot of different situations. But they kind of gathered their thoughts together, if you allow me to put it that way. 7-10 isn't so bad in that division, but give me your thoughts here about Miami and their needs.
Offensive lineman for me right here. They're bringing in Malik Willis, quarterback that's kind of going to get adjusted to the system. All eyes on him. I think you got to have a line that can protect them. Moreau Fringling, we've been talking about him out of the University of Georgia right now, who I think is the best tackle left. But I wouldn't be surprised. Rumors are they like the young man out of Alabama, Caden Proctor. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Thank you, Joey. Your thoughts here about Miami?
They need so much. I mean, they really don't have much at receiver. They gave away both of those guys. They really don't have they have a running back, but they don't have much of offensive line. Defensively, their best pass rusher has been hurt and he's gone. I would probably go, since you have a new quarterback, I would probably go either offensive line here or give another targeted wide receiver. If you have a receiver high enough on your board, I would consider that. But outside of that, I would probably go either offensive line or guess what? They need defense help. I mean, Ruben Bain is from Miami. That wouldn't be a bad pick for him to go and play in a stadium that he plays in already anyway.
Caden Proctor, number 17 overall, ends up being the newest Miami Dolphins. 6'6",
Right.
352-pound tackle out of Alabama. Big man. Joey, your thoughts here. We'll start with you with Caden Proctor.
He is a big athletic tackle. A little heavy. He's really got to get his weight under control. They did a lot with him. They kind of coaxed him to get his weight down. They told him, look, if you get your weight down, you lose 5 pounds by here, we'll throw you a pass. So they lined him. He did what they said. They lined him up. They threw him a screen pass. So as a professional, those tricks don't work. So he's got to get his weight under control. But that being said, for a big man, he's athletic. He's got the physicality you like. He's got long arms. He can be physical, but he's got to get the weight under control. He really does.
Vincent, let's go with you. Caden Proctor, big guy, SEC level, big body, right? For obvious reasons, could use to lose a couple of pounds. But your thoughts here about Caden?
I think the potential's got a great upside. Every time I look at this young man, I think what they did in the Georgia game, lined him up outside and threw him a screen pass, and he got down the field. So that shows me the young man, if he's in shape, he can really play at another level, especially at that left tackle spot. And I think Miami went with the safe pick here, taking that young man out of Alabama. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Los Angeles Rams are on the clock. Their pick is in. Let's talk a little bit about the Rams and how close they were just to get into the Super Bowl. I'm here in Los Angeles. There's a lot more people talking about the Rams now than they were just 2-3 years ago when they moved back. The Chargers are still the second team in Los Angeles. Wide receiver, tackle, cornerback, and maybe a backup quarterback. I don't know if I put him in the mix of a first or second rounder, gentlemen, but Joey, we'll start with you. Tight end's another need that they have. The Rams were 12-5. They finished second in the division. They end up losing to Seattle. Seattle ends up going into the Super Bowl and winning it. So it's going to be a tough division, especially with let's call it a recovered San Francisco team at the end of the year, at the beginning of this upcoming season. If they're able to get some of those injury bug guys back on the field, they're going to be formidable. What are you considering with the Rams?
Well, with the Rams here, obviously, I think a backup quarterback, I don't think this is the spot to do it, but I think they could do that at some point because I think they have another pick at the end of the round maybe. But the receiver core has a couple issues. Your best receiver is in a clinic right now, and then the other kid is from the Raiders and Packers is kind of long in the tooth. He probably has 1 or 2 years left. So if you like a receiver, this might be the time to get a receiver here. Again, you can always get another pass rusher, those things, but they do have a couple pressing needs for a backup quarterback and a couple, at least one receiver.
All right, we don't have the pick yet, but we do know that the Rams are on the clock and that their pick is in. Again, we got to be careful with the timing and the perspective here with ESPN and the commercials and everything like that. Ruben Bain's on the clock, Mekhi Lemon. Those are the number 9 and 10 player respectively. There are now 4 teams that picked outside of the range that we kind of thought they would, at least in terms of going in your order. New Orleans, Tennessee, Miami, and Cleveland all picked guys that were in the 10 and beyond range. So number 9, Ruben Bain, is still available. The Rams could obviously use, Joey, you mentioned it a little bit earlier, if you've got 2 really good edge rushers, you'd want 3. If you've got 3, you can use 4. If you got 4, 5 is a better number. So, Vincent, I'll start with you. Ruben Bain, Mekhi Lemon. You've got Kenyon Sedura, the tight end out of Oregon. And then you go with Monroe Freeling as the next best offensive tackle that's available. He's listed at number 14 out of Georgia.
The Super Bowl is being played at LA this year. The Rams came awfully close to beating Seattle and going to the Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford was MVP and said he's coming back one more year. The Rams are going all in. To me, they're taking a receiver. Mekhi Lemon or the young man out of University of Washington, Denzel Boston. Or they might take the tight end out of Oregon, who I like, Keon Sadiq. One of those 3 players. They're going all in my opinion. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Thank you, Joey. Your perspective, the Rams, obviously Super Bowl contenders over the last couple of years. They go to the NFC Championship game the last 2 years. They lose in Philadelphia. They lose in Seattle. What are your thoughts here about the Rams? They're so close, but yet, you know what? They're just like everybody else. They're so far away. And they are playing with Atlanta's pick from the trade that they had with the Falcons. Go right ahead.
Well, a couple things. I think they will – they want a guy probably that can play right now for them. However, I have a sneaky suspicion they might take the quarterback here. Something tells me they could take the quarterback here. But that being said, they drafted a tight end last year who at the end of the season was actually playing pretty good with those guys. So I don't think despite this, I really like that Oregon tight end. I don't think
are you taking a quarterback that is Ty Simpson? Is that who you're looking at?
I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. I'm just saying I would not be surprised. I would go with maybe the best receiver if I like him. Maybe that's too high for the best receiver right now because you don't jump up for a guy right there. I take the best player on my board, and maybe that's an offensive lineman. Maybe that's Ruben Bain. Okay, I'm not reaching right now unless I have strong conviction for somebody, and I would not. I'm just telling you. I'm not saying it's going to happen because I think 13 is too high for Simpson. But if Simpson's name is called, I would do this. I would not be surprised.
Okay. I wasn't questioning the judgment of it. I'm just questioning, would you wait? I mean, if you got the 9th best player on the board that's available and you weren't even thinking that he was going to be available and he's there, you got the 10th, 11th, the 12th and 13th are gone and you're picking at number 13 overall. I'm just looking at value right there. So if your defensive coordinator is in that room screaming at you, trying to get Ruben Bain on that roster. However, if you're not going to do it because you need a wide receiver, I think there's a little bit of a debate going on. And for obvious reasons, that's one of the reasons why I asked. Vincent, you had something to say? Go ahead.
Let me say this, Vincent, right quick. We don't know what their board looks like. Ty Simpson could be the 13th ranked player on their board.
Yeah.
I would be shocked, but he could be. We don't know what their board looks like.
Right. And their board is their board. I'm going to bypass all these other guys, and I want to get the guy that I have. We all agree that we want this one guy, and absolutely that could be taking place. Vincent, your thoughts here?
One more time, the Rams are going to go all in, and I know they don't want to bring Devontae Adams back. Joy, you just mentioned they star receivers in rehab right now. Matthew Stafford is going to want a playmaker. Keon Sadiq, Mekhi Lemon, or Denzel Boston. And one thing I would give credit to the Rams, I didn't think Sean McVay would be that great a coach. I'm going to call him great offensively. Whoever they plug in that system, they're going to get them the ball. And the Rams, they're going all or not. Think about it. They traded for Trent McDuffie. They brought out the other corner from Kansas City, Jalen Watson. They got their two best corners. So right now the Rams are looking at Super Bowl or not. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
You know, one thing about Sean McVay, whether you think he's great or not, if he's in the league long enough and as young as he was when he started, he's a guy that, in my opinion, has a chance to break some records.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of the longevity factor. He has won 9, 10, 12 games a year. Yes, you can say they played more games than what Don Shula played, or no, these Bill Belichick. I get it. I'm just saying wins are wins, gentlemen. And Sean McVay is certainly, gosh, as young as he is, and he still had to be able to jump up and give high fives to guys when they jump off the field and all the kind of things that he does. Very impressed with that young man. So we still don't have the pick yet, do we, Joey?
No, not yet. But they're back on. The commissioner just hadn't walked up yet.
If I could say something too about
Ty Simpson, I'm telling you what I'm Joey. Look at you, Nostradamus. Ty Simpson, 6'1", 211 out of Alabama. Congratulations, Joey. My goodness, great pick right there. Wow.
I was gonna say this. Their GM, who's a former Falcon guy, Les Snead, is an Alabama guy. Went to Auburn. So, hey, that kind of makes a lot of sense right there.
Well, I'm gonna go back to what I've been saying before. He fits their system. Okay, Sean McVay is a big full field read guy. Okay, what I mean by that is you have progression read system, you have full field read. Full field reads means that the guy's got to drop back. Okay, he's got to know where the safety is at all times. He's got to know what the corner does. So those are the things that this kid can do that some of the other quarterbacks aren't asked to do. When you're in a full progression system, it's like, I'm going to this guy, I'm going to this guy, and I'm going to this guy. And that's all I got to look at. I don't care what the coverage is. If this guy's open, that's where the ball's coming. If this guy's open. In this system, Ty has done a lot of some things under center, not a ton, but he's used to play action. He's used to throwing on the move. You watch the Wisconsin game, he had a series there in Wisconsin, and guess what? He looked like an NFL quarterback. Now, the second half of the season, he didn't play great for a lot of reasons. Some of it was him, some of it was the offensive line, no running game. There are a lot of issues, but Ty Simpson was a really, really talented player. Now, the things you're scared of is 15 starts. You know, that's a negative. That's a big, huge negative. But guess what? He's going in. He's going to learn from Matthew Stafford. And when it's time to play comes, Matthew has already told Sean that I'm playing one more year. That's it. You got one more year out of me, and that's it. Okay, so in 2 years, this guy be the starter. He would have already had a year under Matthew Stafford, and he'll be ready to go. Do I think it's a little rich for him? Absolutely. I wouldn't have taken
Stetson Bennett, who has been the backup for the last 2 years for the Rams. Basically, we're going to see him holding a clipboard somewhere else. Is that correct?
Most likely. I mean,
no
Stetson,
question about it.
And I think they like Stetson some. And I think from everything I've heard, he's progressing. But Stetson has also had some issues off the field that has kind of taken him away from football. And then he's come back. So, I think they feel a lot more comfortable with Ty. His dad's a coach at UT Martin, I think it is.
Right.
So it'll be interesting. But, Ty is going into a situation like Mendoza's going in, where he'll be able to sit and learn for a year.
Joey, the number 2 edge rusher, the number 1 wide receiver, the number 1 tight end on the board, the number 3 offensive tackle, the number 1 guard, the number 2 cornerback were all available, and you went with the number 2 quarterback who wasn't ranked as a first rounder. I just heard a collective what coming from the San Fernando Valley, where all the Ram fans are going, what on earth did we just do?
That tells you, and I'm going to say this again, that tells you that the people in the building know something that the people outside the building don't know.
I'm fine with that. You know what? They run the show. I don't. I get to talk about it. I don't have to live with it. Hey, the Baltimore Ravens are on the clock, and it looks like their pick is in. If we're in a commercial break, let me know, Joey, but we should probably just wrap up. Vincent, any more thoughts here about Ty?
Somewhat surprised, but really not. The thing about him that I said watching him play early on last year, he can make all the NFL throws. It's kind of funny that he sat behind Jalen Milroe. No disrespect. I know a lot of Alabama fans said Jalen Milroe. His last year at Alabama was going to take him to the national championship, but I told people Jalen Monroe cannot throw the football. And a lot of people saying, well, Ty Simpson is not as good as quarterback. I say, hey, man, one thing about Ty Simpson, in the games early on, and especially the Georgia game, the guy is very accurate with the football if you give him time. And Alabama wouldn't been in the position they would even been making the playoffs because he done that with not a running game. Alabama had no running game last year, and really he was their offense. So much respects to Mr. Ty Simpson, first round of 13 overall from the state of Tennessee. Congratulations. And his dad is a real respected coach throughout the state at UT Martin. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Well, appreciate it. Now the pick is in now for Baltimore. A lot of needs that they have there. Ravens were some of those guys that, in my opinion, just a lot of things that they had at the beginning of the year. They get behind the 8 ball, but they were pretty dang close. And their pick is already in. It's Olia Vavega Ione out of Penn State.
Penn State.
Yeah,
he's a guard. I like him a lot. He was my number one guard. He's a big man. He is physical. He profiles as a guard, and he may even be able to play a little bit of center. But he played. I want to say he played left guard for those guys, if I remember correctly. He's tough. He's strong. He can displace the line of scrimmage with his strength. I like this player as a guard.
he was a part of a Penn State roster that just had one miserable mishap after another. The 4 losses in a row that they had, the losing of their coach. They nearly were able to beat Indiana. That certainly would have been a big thorn in their a feather in their cap, excuse me. But doesn't matter. Penn State has had some great players. Vincent, give me some perspective here on Ione and everything about his size, his speed, and his just massiveness. Going to Baltimore right now, where they live and breed big linemen. Gosh, they've loved big linemen. And Derrick Henry is going to have another big body in front of him to open up some holes.
Well, Mr. Vegas, I'm going to call him that because I don't want to butcher his last name. Listen, over the last 3 weeks, some people saying he was the best run blocker in this draft. And maybe this came in this draft in a long time. And you got Derrick Henry. It's a no-brainer. You got a new coach in Jesse Minter that you know personally, Harper.
Dude.
And you got to think, knowing him and listening to you from the day, the guy, former D coordinator at Michigan, former D coordinator at Georgia State, usually defensive guys, what they like. They like physical football, and they like to run it down your throat. Excellent pick. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Joey, your thoughts here. Obviously, you mentioned a big guard, a big-bodied guy. We have Tampa on the clock, and their pick now is in. So we'll very quickly move from Baltimore to Tampa, if you don't mind. But final thoughts here from you, if you don't mind, Joey.
I think it's a good pick. He's going to help bolster that run game. They have the best run, one of the best runners in the game right now, and this guy's going to help with that. And I think Tampa has a chance to get a pass rusher here, and I think that's what they need. So we'll see what happens.
Linebacker, C.J. Allen is on the board. Levante David has retired.
Harper, you're on mute. Harper, you're on mute.
Yep. I got the helicopters going over. So forgive me. Yeah, I did have mute. All right, Tampa, their pick is in, but they were 8-9. They finished second in the South. Edge rusher, cornerback, defensive tackle, linebacker, and tight end are some of the needs that they have. Give me your thoughts here, Vincent, with the Buccaneers.
C.J. Allen will be a good pick, the linebacker out of the University of Georgia. Remember, they all Hall of Fame guy, Pro Bowl guy, Levante David, retired in the offseason. And they need somebody to replace him. I think C.J. Allen will be the pick here if I'm Todd Bowles to call their defense. Very productive guy at the University of Georgia, 41 games, had over 205 tackles, 13 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks. Young man out of Barnesville, Georgia, which is about an hour. I said, about an hour from downtown Atlanta? This guy's a pretty good football player and has played a lot of football at the University of Georgia. We already know him coming out of Kirby Smart's system. You don't have to worry about him being a good defensive player or taking care of his business at the next level, being a professional. Back to you, Hart.
Joey, your thoughts here? Ruben Bain still on the board. Kenya Sadiq is another one of those guys that might be a fit for them. They're not looking for a wide receiver, so we're taking Mekhi Lemon off of that selection. But maybe they go with a guy like that. Your thoughts here about Tampa?
I'm taking either Bain. I'm taking Messidor. I'm taking. I would take Sadiq. For me, this is way too early for the Georgia guy. Matter of fact, I don't even have him as one of my top linebackers. I like the kid from Texas a little better. But for an inside backer, I think this spot, unless the guy's dynamic, is too early for a guy right there. I think in the second round, you can be looking at that guy if you want him. But I would go with the pass rusher.
37th guy in Ty Simpson. So I'm not going to say that Vincent may be wrong. We don't know. With their board,
we don't know. That's right.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Ruben Bain, I guess, is getting a little nervous right now. If I'm in the green room up there in Pittsburgh and nobody's picking me, did I do something wrong? Did somebody take a picture?
Remember he had that situation that happened.
Yeah, but everybody knew about that situation. That was just new to the media. The people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everybody. That will happen in 2024. So everybody knew about that. Just the media didn't know, and then obviously it comes out the week before the draft, which is kind of bad for the kid. But the teams already knew about that. But I thought Ruben Bain was a top 20 pick. So if he slips past 20, then I'm scared. If I'm Ruben, so it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. But I think this is one of the spots he could land. But Messidor can land here too.
But I have if I can, Hop, I want to ask Joy another question. Joy, I'm not trying to by no way step on your shoes this season. No. You know a lot more football.
Yeah.
But man, why you don't like C.J. Allen? Why you don't have him high on your board? I'm just saying.
I don't think I think he can run. So I don't think he's really athletic. I think he's stiff-hipped.
Okay.
We talked about when we talked about him. I don't.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. I'm just saying.
I like the kid from Texas better. That linebacker.
Okay.
I think he's a lot more fluid. Yeah. Yep.
And to be perfectly honest with you guys, I've got the first 40 selections from one site. I just copied from them verbatim, and there aren't any linebackers on it, other than Reese and Styles. So very interesting how that turns out. Like those two and nobody else. All right, Tampa. Give me your thoughts here, Vincent, one more time about Tampa. Mostly defense, correct?
Yeah, I would say C.J. Allen, but Mike Evans signed with Frisco in the offseason, right? They don't have Mike Evans no more. You got to think the man from Boomer Baker Mayfield is lobbying for a receiver. I don't mean to say anything, but I'm looking at what's the other receiver?
Pick us in, guys. It's Ruben Bain. They went with Ruben Bain.
They had to. I mean, They already had Mike Evans' replacement in-house last year, the kid from Ohio State that came in last year. So,
well, congratulations to Tampa. I look at it this way: if the best guy on the board ends up in your camp, good for you. And he was at number 9 overall, and then Tampa's picking number 15. I think that's a value pick right there. Tell me where I'm wrong, Joey.
No, guess what? It's the best player left on your board, and it fits a need.
Yeah.
It's two things. So I think it's a great pick.
Well, Adam Schefter with ESPN 10 minutes ago tweeted out that the Rams made sure to call their veteran quarterback Matthew Stafford to inform him of their plan to select Ty Simpson. And evidently Matthew Stafford's okay with it because they did it anyways, regardless of whether Matthew says yes or no. But I'm sure there was probably he's not going to take your job, but we certainly want him to watch you play. And anytime you want to teach him anything to do. All right, let's go over Ruben Bain. Obviously, here's a guy that can bring it. Miami had a fantastic year. They played in the national championship final against Indiana, and he was a big reason for that. What does he do well that you think will be impressive if day one in Tampa? If you don't mind, Joey, I'll start with you.
You know what? Ruben was really good versus the run. Okay, he was strong and stout. He played with leverage, pad level, and on top of that, he was able to play. And he played down the line, but he's really an edge guy. I wouldn't line him up necessarily at a 5-eye or 4-eye or anything like that. He's really an edge guy, but he can rush the passer. For a guy that it doesn't seem like he's real twitchy. Despite that, he's got a really good first step. He plays with really good leverage. He's got a dip move. He's got good hand placement for a guy that does have shorter arms. But the fact that he gets into the body of the offensive lineman so quickly, it kind of negates some of that short arm ability that he has. But he really gets off the ball.
Vincent, you agreed? I saw you nod your head a little bit. Tell me what you think about Ruben Bain.
I always look at players that's rated this high. How do they perform in big games? Opening game last year against Miami, would he have a 3-sack game? Played very well in the national championship game against Indiana. Played very well in the college football playoffs against Ohio State. Played very well against Texas A&M in the college football playoffs. And most of all, you got to look at his 15 tackles for loss, 9 sacks, 54 tackles, but 83 quarterback pressures last year. So you're getting a guy that's coming from the U, that's coming like all of the great defensive players they've had come out of that school in the D-line position. Your former teammate, Jerome Brown Hopper, Russell Maryland, Cortez Kennedy. I think that guy's the same. It's kind of like in the same breath when we talk about great Miami D linemen in the NFL. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Well, Tampa's pick is in. Ruben Bain is now a Buccaneer. Next on the clock is going to be the New York Jets with their second pick here in the first round. They're picking at number 16 overall. They were 3-14 last year with the second pick, gentlemen, Mekhi Lemon and Jarmod McCoy, the cornerback out of the University of Tennessee. He was the first time we've called his name. He's finally slipped into it. You've got Kenyon Sadiq, excuse me, I'm so sorry, and Monroe Freeling are guys that would be value picks, and that, picking up at anything above a player that is higher ranked than what your number is. Obviously, those are some important things. Vincent, we'll start with you with the Jets' second pick.
You got Geno Smith. You was last year. You was last in passing in the National Football League, where you only had 140 yards. You got Garrett Wilson that you paid a lot of money. Mekhi Lemon, get ready to come to Broadway. As the great Joe Namath said, when you're on Broadway, you're a star. And I'm going to say this, as I said earlier when we started our draft show, and Glenn, the pressure is on. I see him taking Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver out of SC.
Kenyon Sadiq, the Oregon tight end,
okay.
number 11 overall, is now a New York Jet. Joe, your thoughts here about the Jets? You've worked for them before. Obviously, Mickey Schuler, some of the other, who was the other about Brady? Not Brady. What was the Kyle?
Kyle Brady.
Kyle Brady.
Kyle Brady from Penn State, if I'm not mistaken. They've had some.
Anthony Beckett.
Yeah, I'm going to assume this was the highest rated guy on their board. And I don't – this is not a bad pick because he's athletic. He can run. He can stretch the field for Geno. But I'm going to say this again. They had 0 interceptions last year. When you got and you just traded a corner to Indianapolis last year, your best corner you traded to Indianapolis last year. So to me, it's a little bit suspicious unless they're trying to get back up in the first round. But I appreciate what they're doing from an offensive perspective. But this is probably a make or break year for Coach Glenn. So I hope he makes the right decision here, but they went with the tight end, so we'll see.
Joey, I've been a part of the draft since 1985. I was drafted in 85. I'm not saying that to brag, but I was paying attention to it a little bit differently every year since then. And Mel Kiper had one of the great lines of all time when he says, "This pick proves that the New York New York Jets do not understand what the draft is all about." One of the great lines in all of draft coverage history when Mel was a part of it. Again, we kind of shake our heads just a little bit, wondering what the Jets are doing. Why are you it's the best guy on the board. I get it. But there's also a couple of defensive guys that might have helped you. They were on the board as well, and we just mentioned how important that was. All right. They are done. Kenyon Sadiq, obviously now a tight end. Any thoughts about him before we move on? Because the Lions are on the clock and their pick is in. So we'll do it very quickly if you don't mind. And let's go very quickly. Vincent, thoughts here about tight end here from Oregon. He can fly. Good guy. Good player.
Well, I understand what you're saying about the defense didn't have a pick, but I'm looking at it like this. Your offense last year with the Jets, you was 29th. Your passing, you was last in the league. And don't get me wrong, you didn't intercept passes on defense, but me personally, you need to score the ball. A lot of times, Justin Fields didn't work out. Garrett Wilson wasn't used properly. You still got Breece Hall. Now you got a quarterback that can at least get the ball out there. And you pairing them with Garrett Wilson, you got a guy, and Harper, you play the tight end position. This is a guy that can get down the seam, a legitimate 4-4 guy that's athletic. So I'm pulling for Coach Glenn. Me personally, I like the pick. And I'm going to leave it at that on Broadway.
All right, the Jets are done for the first round. Congratulations to the New York Jets. They had 2 picks. They've made both of them. They're the second team to do so, and actually the second team from New York to be able to get both their picks in. Joey, let's move on to the Detroit Lions. Obviously, a Dan Campbell team has to have big offensive linemen. You've got
Monroe Freeling.
Come on now. What are you saying? Do you think
Monroe Freeling? I think he's a perfect fit for Detroit. Now, whether they take him or not, we'll see. Monroe Freeling, they just lost. They just had a tackle to retire.
Yep.
Anyway, Monroe Freeling would be the perfect fit for Detroit.
Now, whether it's Dan Campbell or anyone, they went from left tackle to right tackle 2 years ago. They had number 1, number 1, number 3, number 1, and number 1. Their offensive line was just full of full of first rounders. 4 out of the 5 were selected in the first round. That to me is pretty much that's a company-wide solution. And you can protect your quarterback a little bit differently. And guess what happens? You go to the playoffs and you end up hosting an NFC championship game. It hasn't gotten them over the edge, but it certainly makes all of the other decisions a lot easier when you've got a really good offensive line that can move forward and backwards quite easily for you because you got the athletes, you got the best of the best. Is that a fair assessment, Joey, from your opinion?
Without question. I mean, the game of football is won in the trenches. We can get pretty with the guys on the outside, with the safeties, with the receivers, with the run. The game of football is won in the trenches. If my offensive line is better than your defensive line, chances are I'm going to win the game. If your defensive line is better than my offensive line, chances are you're going to win the game. The game is won in the trenches. First and foremost, when you're building a team, you build it inside out.
Absolutely. And if you don't mind me saying so, Vincent, we'll go with you. The NFC North, Minnesota kind of dropped back a little bit, but Chicago got better in a hurry. You've got the Green Bay Packers make the playoffs. Detroit misses it. There were 3 teams that were 9-8. It was a very interesting perspective, if you don't mind me saying so. At 9-8, they were 4th in the division because of the tiebreakers. They're on the clock right now. Give me your perspective on what you think the Detroit Lions are going to do.
It's a critical year for the Lions. A lot of people are saying the window started to close for Detroit. Dan Campbell's always been an offensive line guy. That's how he built the Lions. Him and Brad Holmes, the former assistant GM with the Rams. Morgan Freeland. I agree with Mr. Clinkscales should be their pick. Based on the fact, the guy that started last year, Tate Ratledge, University of Georgia, 2nd round pick, him and Monroe Freeland are best friends, and they were roommates at Georgia. I think it'll be a perfect pick for what the Lions are trying to do.
He's 6'7", 315 pounds. Joey, the pick is in. Blake Miller, 6'7", 317 pounds.
Clemson.
Out of Clemson. A little bit of a surprise there for me, but Blake Miller has been selected now by the Detroit Lions. Give me your thoughts here, Joey.
Well, I'm a little bit surprised because I thought Freeling was a better football player, and I still think he's a better football player. But I'm not surprised by the position because they needed offensive line help because they had one guy they were trying to get back last season who had retired, and they tried to get him back, and then he failed a physical. And then they had another offensive lineman to actually retire after the season this year. So they needed offensive line help. So I'm not surprised of the position. I'm just surprised of the player they took at the position.
Yeah. Your thoughts here, Blake Miller, out of Clemson. Vincent, don't mind jumping right in here. Give me your perspective here about Blake.
Well, I had Blake rated at the end of the first round. The only thing I can see is that Blake Miller started day one when he got to Clemson. Started as a true freshman, has played in every game. Obviously, that was a real good, impressive point with Dan Campbell. Young man's played a lot of football. He's got size, but I'm agreeing with Mr. Clinkscales. I still would have had Monroe Freeland. I think it's a better football player. But just looking at the lines, maybe it's looking at this young man has played a lot of football at Clemson and he started from day one as a true freshman.
You
Back
know,
to you, Mr.
Joy,
LeBel.
when you look at individual boards and what you liked in the room, obviously an individual interview that you would have with either the front office,
Mm-hmm.
president, general manager, or when the head coach meets with you and goes, "What are you going to do when you get in a bar fight?" You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm going to protect everybody else, but no one's going to hit my girl. Nobody's going to hit my guys. I'm going to protect whoever I need to protect. There may be some aspect of the interview process that really moved him up ahead of where we certainly had him. But congratulations to Blake
Mm-hmm.
Miller. He's now the newest member of the Detroit Lions. Your perspective, Joey?
Oh, without question. It only takes one team to like you. The other 31, they don't have to. But that being said, I mean, I'm not saying this guy's not a good player because he really is. He does a lot of good things on tape. He stays on his feet. He doesn't bend well. He's more of a waist bender than a knee bender, which bothers you just a little bit, being a right tackle and having to face usually the really good pass rusher. So it'll be interesting how they play him. He's going to go in and probably be a starter from day one, most likely. So it'll be interesting to see how that all shapes out. I thought, again, the other guy was a lot more physical player than this guy is. Not to say this guy's not a good football player, because he is.
Absolutely. Well, Minnesota's now on the clock, and their pick is in. Their pick is Caleb Banks, 6'6", 327-pounder out of Florida. Guys, if you want a big guy to get off your bus and show everybody else what you got, Caleb Banks is certainly one of those. Let me your perspective here. We'll start with you, Vincent.
Kind of surprised. I thought Mr. Banks had kind of fell in the second round. They say he hasn't recovered from his foot injury, right?
No, he's recovered. I think he's
Okay.
recovered. Yeah.
Okay. But kind of surprised I didn't have him in the first round. But when he was on at the University of Florida. Brian Flores, he loves defense. Minnesota's going to put up points because they got Kyler Murray that's coming to town now. And him and Justin Jefferson finna do some work. Good pick for the Vikings. Put him right back up there. This young man is going to be a stay in the defensive line, and he's a very good, productive football player. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Joey, your perspective here, big man, but I think Vincent's fairly correct in going, I don't know if I would take him in the first.
I'm a little shocked, to be quite honest with you. I mean, he only played 3 games, if I'm not mistaken, this year because of injuries.
Yeah, the foot.
And the best ability is availability, and he wasn't available a lot. But when he was playing, I mean, he's got potential, and he plays good. I mean, and he's a good football player. He doesn't play hard 100% of the time, and that's the thing that I remember watching tape on him. I wish he played harder. But, I mean, he could be hell on wheels. I mean, he flashed of the year the guys Georgia had, the Richard Seymour, and the guys Tennessee had, the John Hands from Alabama, and those big guys, the John Hendersons and those guys from Tennessee. I mean, he's that size of football player, and he's got that kind of ability if you can get it out of him on a consistent basis. And I didn't see that, so maybe Coach Flores in Minnesota can get it out of him because it's in him. If you've seen it, it's in him. You just didn't see it with any consistency.
Right, and I'm looking for edge rushers and defensive tackles that are in front of him, and really he was the third overall. But congratulations to him. Caleb Banks now is the newest member of the Minnesota Vikings. We're going to go next to the Carolina Panthers. Carolina is now on the clock. Their pick is in, and they have needs. They were 8-9 last year, and 8-9, so they had a losing record, and they end up winning the division in the NFC South. Safety, wide receiver, edge rusher, cornerback, and running back are the needs for them. Your thoughts here, Vincent? We'll start with you, just up the road there in Carolina.
Playmaker, Mekhi Lemon, SC, or Denzel Boston. Bryce Young played very well at the end of the year. Him and the young man out of Arizona, Mr. McMillan, who was the Rookie of the Year, really made some very sweet music at the end of the year, and that's why Carolina won the division. And Carolina did some outstanding things in the offseason defensively. He brought over Devin Lloyd, free agency from Jacksonville. They got Jalen Phillips, DN from Philadelphia in free agency. This is a team that's shaping up, could be the team in the NFC South, which is open. So I see them putting another offensive playmaker with Bryce Young. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think that you want to protect your quarterback. He's not fragile, but he's not one of those flamboyant guys. He just does his job, and he doesn't do a whole lot of fist pumping or anything like that. But give me his wide receiver McMillan from Arizona last year kind of made a difference. Do we need another one, Joey, or is this just we're gonna look defense? We're gonna pick somebody the highest ranked player on the board defensively. That's Jermod McCoy.
He probably would have. I think had Sadiq been there, the tight end, I think that could have been the pick.
Yeah.
They could go with another receiver here. They could. I don't know if you go with a running back. They had running back by committee there last year, but you got to get help on defense because of who you're playing in the division. They have an all-world corner there, so maybe it's one of the safeties. Now the safeties coming up, two to three safeties coming up, I really like, but this might be too high for those guys. So it'd be interesting. I think they go offensive line here. They could go receiver here. I think they would have gone tight end had the Oregon guy still been on the board.
Nope, they went offensive line. Monroe Freeling from the University of Georgia is now the newest Carolina Panther. Congratulations. Vincent, your thoughts here about Monroe?
Good piece, good football player, man. Last year at the end of the year, I think this young man might have been the best offensive lineman in the country. Love what he did against Ole Miss in the SC playoff. In the college football playoff game, even though Georgia lost their football game. But if you look at his play from, I say, the second half of the season until Georgia got eliminated in the college football playoffs, this young man was playing at a high level than any offensive tackle in the country. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Well, Dallas is on the clock, and they have is there a trade with Philadelphia? Because now it's Philadelphia is on the clock, and they're
really. Then there was a trade then, because they don't show it on TV yet, but it still says the Panthers pick and then Dallas. So
Panthers pick. Dallas was on the clock, and now it looks as if the Eagles are on the clock. They were 11-6. Let me know, gentlemen, if you see something after I do. Let me, Joey, first and foremost, finish up with Monroe Freeling.
I love Freeling because he's a big physical offensive lineman, and your quarterback in Carolina, you can put in a bag of Skittles. So he's so just small, so you have to be able to protect him and create throwing lanes for him because, again, he's a 5'10" quarterback. Dallas is traded the pick to Philly. So, if you trade in the division, Philly probably gave up a lot to get that pick.
Yeah, Dallas kind of moved up a little bit because they had to give up a little to go up one slot ahead of Miami, and now they're going to get some of those picks back, or at least
they'll probably get some of those back that they gave up. Yep.
And it looks like, okay, so Philadelphia is not only on the clock, they've made their selection. They were 11-6 last year. Edge rusher, tight end, tackle, linebacker, and safety. They said, forget it. We're not going to go with any of those. Mekhi Lemon is now the newest member of the Philadelphia Eagles. I'll go with you first, Vincent, if you don't mind. On the clock is the Steelers, but we're going to talk a little bit about the Eagles first.
What that tells me that June 1st is the NFL cuts, right?
No, it's not the cuts. It's when the deferred money. You can move money around. So, like with the receiver, he'll be out June 1.
A.J. Brown would not be an Eagle June 1st, and this is what the Eagles are doing, in my opinion, replacing A.J. Brown, the team with Devontae Smith. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Well, getting the 10th best player on the board of many with the number 20 pick, but sliding up to get that. Do you have any information yet, Joey? It looks like after trading up at the spot, I'm seeing that Adam Schefter is saying that they did make the selection, but I'm not sure what they gave up. Do you see anything?
No, not yet. They hadn't shown it yet, but they will. Okay. Yeah, Mekhi Lemon is a good pick. They also signed they traded for a receiver from the Patriots, I believe. in the offseason. So they are bolstering their receiver core because, AJ won't be. I think we all knew that. And I'm not surprised. So AJ will be a June 1 trade.
Well, he won't be at the bookstore, will he? He'll be on somebody's sideline. It's just a matter. He's too good. But do you want the mess of having to deal with a guy that, like many wide receivers, throw me the damn ball, right? I want to have that. Is that an issue? Well, let's talk about that a little bit later. We'll talk about that. Let's talk about Mekhi Lemon. He does slide down. I'm not sure if that's a humbling thing for him or not, but hardworking, good receiver, had a breakout year there for the Trojans, and he goes from the number 10 overall, and he's picked at number 17.
Well, I don't think he slid down. I mean, that's somebody's opinion that he was the 10th best player. I never saw him at that because I thought from a speed standpoint, he was a little bit speed deficient and he's a little bit shorter guy. But he's a good football player, and I did think he was a first or second round receiver. But I wouldn't say he was a top 10 type talent.
Okay,
maybe
he was the number 1 receiver overall, and he graded out at the overall ranking of 10, and then an 89 was his grade, and he was picked at 20. So guess what? It's not going to drop down. A little bit less money, but still to finish and going to a team that could really use a wide receiver, and if they like that there, they'll fall in love with him. Go right ahead, Vincent.
But I'm going to say this about Mekhi Lemon. As the season went on in that Illinois game, I always go on game film when he had he put 11 for 200 yards on Illinois, even though he might not have been right on your boy High Joy. But man, I'm gonna tell you, at the end of the year, he was one of the best 2-3 football players pound for pound in the United States. Then go look at that Michigan film now. And then I always look at production: 79 receptions, 1,156 yards. He averaged 15 yards a catch. And I'm going to tell you something. I love this pick because Jalen Hurts, he's going to help Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, because Mekhi Lemon can play in the slot.
And that's where he's going to make his going to make his money as a slot receiver. Now he's tough. I like the physicality. And again, I'm not saying he's not a good receiver because he is. But we look at receivers differently. I look at skill set. You're looking at production. I mean, anybody can get production, but you got to look at skill set too. So I think
we talk about it SC though, baby. We talk about it SC. He played in the Big Ten. I'm just saying.
What SC won lately? So you're talking to me about SC, and you're living in the past. What has SC done for you lately?
I'm just saying. Go ahead.
All right, the Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock. Joey, as you get a chance to see, obviously this is in their backyard. I think there's so many folks that are around there. You are familiar with the organization. McCoy and Thieneman from Oregon are the 2 defensive players that may be the best fit for him right now. Give me your thoughts here about the 10-7 winners of the NFC North last season, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, they have a new head coach, so the system will probably change some. They have a couple of defensive linemen that are old, are long in the tooth. I don't want to say old, but long in the tooth. They need another offensive lineman, and that head coach has a history with quarterbacks and offensive linemen. So, but that being said, I still think there are a couple corners on the board that would make sense if Pittsburgh decided, because they had one corner to retire, and they just re-signed. Porter got a pretty big contract, so it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for them to get a corner like the kid from Tennessee at this point.
Vincent, if you don't mind, the history of the Steelers, everything like that. I know that there are a lot of Steeler fans that will be looking at this. And Joe, you know this, but I'm asking the question to Vincent. It's been a long while. We usually have to pick late in the 20s because we advance into the playoffs and whatever. So this is a very interesting spot for them. They're picking at number 21. It's still not much better. You win the division. But what are your thoughts here about Pittsburgh?
Cameron Haywood can't play for so long. I'm looking at the young man that's from Swanee, Georgia, K. McDonald, D tackle out of Ohio State. Then think about this. Offensively, they got a real huge problem. Broderick Jones, the young man from Lithonia, University of Georgia, they left tackle. He might have to retire. They say he's got a serious neck injury. And then you're looking at the cornerback position, somebody playing opposite Joey Porter. I'm not going to go with the young man from Tennessee. I like the young man, A.J. Terrell's little brother, Avon Terrell. This guy was a playmaking machine defensively at Clemson. I think either of those three players can fit the Pittsburgh system. Back to you, Mr. LeBel. Mute hopper. Yes, sir.
Appreciate that. Sorry, gentlemen. I got a pool behind me, and the pool motor makes a little bit of noise. I gotta turn that down. Don't want that to affect our audience, so we don't want to do that. Joey, your thoughts here? Obviously, defense first is what it seems like with them. They have a quarterback need, though. They've had one for a while, but you get one more year out of Aaron Rodgers, and you're just kind of like the Rams. And that, how many years is he going to play before you have to relinquish that spot? Guard, tackle, safety, and defensive tackle. There's some good ones out there for obvious reasons. What are you thinking again if we look at Pittsburgh?
I'm thinking corner. I'm thinking defensive lineman. I'm thinking offensive lineman. You know, whoever they have as their best available player at this point. I'm not thinking quarterback here because there's no quarterback I would honestly take before the third round, maybe at this point. But so it'll be interesting to see which direction they go in.
Have a little hypothetical with me. If Ty Simpson were available, would you consider that just like what the Rams did?
I would have, yes. At 21, I would have considered Ty Simpson here, yes.
Well, Pittsburgh has made their selection. 6'5", 320-pounder out of Arizona State, Max Eichendor, Mike Hendor, excuse me. He is their pick. He was the number 6 position player overall, and he is now the newest member of the Pittsburgh Steelers, number 41 overall. So he was not really in a first-round category, but because of his size and obviously his talent level, he has moved into the first round. Congratulations. A new offensive tackle is now from Arizona State, is now a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Your thoughts here, Joey?
He was my number 4 tackle. He's athletic. He's very raw. I mean, he's got I want to say soccer or something background.
Yes.
Is different. He is really raw, but he can play football. I mean, he's physical. He's athletic. He can move his feet. He can run. A little bit of a project, but guess what? I think the kid, when it's all said and done, has a chance to be one of the best tackles come out of this draft if he's tutored properly. There's a lot to like him. Long arms. He's not afraid to use them and punch. He's just really raw.
Vincent, your thought here?
Like I said, early on, I think it's a very safe pick for the Steelers because they don't know what's going to happen with Broderick Jones. And when you look at it, left tackle is a very key spot in the National Football League. And Mr. Clinkscales can back me up on that, and you can back me up on that, LeBel. I just think, hey, it was a pick that they had to take consideration because we don't know what's going to happen with Broderick Jones. Back to you, Harper.
Yeah, Caleb Lamu was listed number 28 overall. They went with a guy that was ranked in the 40s there with your number 20 picks. So interesting perspective. We're not going to second guess the Steelers or their organization, but for the first time now in decades and only the 4th time since the 1970s, they've got a new head coach, and they're going with more of a project, in my opinion. But their pick is in, and so is the LA Chargers. It looks like they've been only on the clock for just a couple of minutes. And so let's look at the Chargers and their perspective. If you don't mind, I'll begin with you first, Vincent. Chargers were 11-6. They finished second in the West. They probably thought they had a chance to win it, but their needs are guard, tackle, edge rusher, defensive tackle, guard, defensive tackle, edge rusher, wide receiver, and a tight end.
Another Buckeye should go at this spot. I really like Caden McDonald, a young man from where you live at Hart, out of the Ohio State, went to North Gwinnett High School. We talk about all these great players that got drafted from Ohio State this evening. We forgot they got an outstanding defensive tackle, Caden McDonald. 85 career tackles, 3 sacks, 3 quarterback hits. This gentleman is a real good football player. And just give you a little tidbit here. He played Little League football. I saw a photo that was going over social media this past week. And him and this gentleman are best friends. They've been friends ever since they were 5 years old. Avon Terrell and Caden McDonald. Both families know each other, and they played in the same Little League football league up there in Swanee. How do dreams come true, brothers? Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Absolutely. Well, McCoy from Tennessee, you've got Messidor from Miami, a couple of safeties in Thieneman and McDaniel Warren, another cornerback or two if you're going to go defense before you go edge rusher with Kendrick Falk out of Auburn. You got Cade McDonald, Peter Woods that are kind of all bundled together. Joey, is there one that stands out to you in terms of what you would recommend if you were looking at the LA situation?
I would consider Messidor because your pass rushers. I mean, Mack is back for another year, but he's long in the tooth right now. A safety, you can always use a safety, and there's a couple pretty good safeties there. And Harbaugh believes in physical brand of football, so I like the Georgia guy on the defensive line, but I also like an offensive lineman, another offensive, because they had so many injuries last year, which hampered them on the offensive line. So,
well, Akeem Messidor is the pick at number 22 for the Chargers, 6'3", 260-pounder out of Miami. He was the third-ranked edge rusher for his position, number 18 overall, and he's selected with number 22 by the LA Chargers. Your thoughts on this, Joey? You were just talking about some of the others. It doesn't matter now anymore, right? We've got the
makes sense. I mean, that's a smart pick. Makes sense. You got the, in my opinion, the best pass rusher available, who actually can rush the passer. Some guys you're hoping can develop into that. You actually saw him do that. He's got great first step quickness. Another guy that is funny, was a little bit short armed, but he's a guy. He's an older guy. He's like 24, 25 years old, I believe. So he's been to a few schools and he's 25 years old. So he's mature. But he can rush the passer. He can bend. He's got first step quickness. He does a lot of good things.
Well, he is the newest member of the LA Chargers. Your thoughts here, Vincent? I know we looked at some others, but Messidor can play, and he's going to a team on the defensive side that could really use an extra pass rusher.
Hey, I like the D-line for the Chargers. Khalil Mack and Mr. Messidor on the other side. Chargers might be a little problem defensively in the AFC West. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, here's another guy from Miami. They've had some rushers and edge and some guys on defense that can absolutely get after the quarterback, and they've been rewarded now being first-rounders. And so congratulations to Akeem Messidor, the edge. Now that puts the Dallas Cowboys back on the clock, gentlemen. Pick number 2 for the Cowboys. There's still some things that they need to do. They got their safety earlier in the first round with Caleb Downs. Jeremiah McCoy, Kendrick Falk. Here's another guy we haven't talked a whole heck of a lot. I'm sure, Joey, you've looked at him. 6'6", 276-pounder out of Auburn. Just a big guy. And Myles Garrett type of body size. He's going to look great coming off the bus, as we've mentioned about some of these other guys. But low raw. He's ranked number 25 overall, but he could certainly help the Cowboys situation. Before we go to Vincent, Joey, let me give your thoughts here on the second pick the Cowboys have.
Yeah, without question. I think he can certainly help the Cowboys. He's a big body guy. He's got some pass rush ability. He's another guy that's really raw. Motor wasn't always going 100%, so that'd be something that will need to be worked out. But I wouldn't be surprised if they took a shot at a receiver here. If they like the receiver here, because they're going to sign one guy to a franchise tag and then probably trade him. The kid from Pittsburgh, who was actually their leading receiver last year. They're probably going to end up trading him. So it wouldn't be a bad spot if they were in love with the receiver here. You don't reach for him. But if you were in love with a receiver here, then you take him, because opposite CeeDee Lamb, you're probably going to have a new receiver.
Yeah. Well, we've got the pick in from the Cowboys. Again, they were 7-9-1 last year. Defensively, obviously, that was something that you've mentioned on numerous occasions. Do you flip it now? Do you go with the best receiver? What are you thinking here for the Cowboys? Even though the pick is in, I just want to get your thoughts here about the second pick in the first round here by your Cowboys.
Defense. Pete Woods, I think, will be an excellent pick to D-tackle. Now, a lot of people say I might be reaching. And some drafts you reach, but I noticed this young man, if he wouldn't tore his knee up as a sophomore, this young man was going to be going for stardom. But he was a very productive football player at LSU, and Harold Perkins Jr. Another reach is probably, I like the kid out of San Diego State, Chris Johnson. But I'm not sold on Falk. Yeah, he looks like the par get off the bus, but what bothers me, he only had 29 tackles last year. He had only had 2 QB sacks. And when I looked at him, it looked like he was playing hard all the time. Matter of fact, the other young man, Keon Crawford, out of the 901 Memphis, Tennessee, by way of Arkansas State, played much better than he did throughout the season. Put the Georgia game tape on. But that's what I like to see us do, go defense. Jamal McCoy would look well, but I think a lot of people, and Joy probably got a little more insight. I think a lot of people being scared because of the knee. But those are the players that I think can fit what we're trying to do from a Cowboys defensive standpoint. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Well, front back or back front, either way, if you're going to improve your defense, you just get some guys that can play.
Yes, sir.
Especially if there's some young guys, Joy. Sometimes you give them a year or 2, 3, and then you become a formidable group. I can't think of a better example from my era than the 1980s when you had 4 rookies that were starting in the secondary for the San Francisco 49ers.
Yes,
oddly enough, the year that they went to the Super Bowl. They had some talent around them. They just needed to fix one portion in a way that it sure made leaps and bounds differences. The offense was there. The defense just needed to catch up, and next thing you know, for the next decade, they were one of the greatest teams in NFL history.
Without question. I mean, again, you build a team from front to back, and that team had a lot of things up front to work with, the front 7. So you were able to do that on the back end with some young guys. And, and guess what? If you can rush the passer, you can force the passer into some mistakes, and those young guys made plays for him.
All right, that pick is in right now. Number 23 for the Dallas Cowboys is Malachi Lawrence, edge rusher, 6'4", 253-pounder out of Central Florida. He was ranked number 9 in terms of edge rusher, number 54 overall. Gentlemen, that's a second rounder going in the first round. The other edge rushers, Auburn's Kendrick Falk and Zion Young out of Missouri, Cassius Howell out of Texas A&M. None of those were impressive to the Cowboys. Is that a fair assessment, Joey?
Yeah, I mean, that's the way they probably followed their board. And I'm not sure I wouldn't have taken the Missouri kid who I think he led the SEC in sack. And Howell was either right there with him, the kid from Texas A&M, or right behind him. So am I surprised by this pick? I am. For me and the tapes I've seen, it's probably a little bit of a reach. But, depending on how they want to play, I'm sure at this pick, their new defensive coordinator, had a big say in this pick. So he likes some traits in this kid that he said, this is the kid I want. So I'm okay with that because he has to live with this pick because I'm sure he had a lot to do with this pick.
Yep. Real quick, if you don't mind, because Cleveland is next and their pick is in. So give me a quick thought here, Vincent, about Malachi Lawrence.
I'm going to say one thing. 39 games, 20 sacks, 13 QB hits in his career, 72 tackles and 28 tackles for loss. The mic has dropped. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Yeah, thank you for the homework. We appreciate it. For obvious reasons, he's a guy that kind of slipped off of my radar, but it's okay. He's a first rounder. Doesn't matter what I think. He's a guy that, for obvious reasons, is going to be in training camp here in just a couple of – actually in mini camp here in just a couple of days. And get to show everybody what he does. All right, the Cleveland Browns with their second pick, gentlemen. They've had a trade earlier in the draft, but this is the pick, number 24 overall, 5-12. Cleveland was 4th in the AFC North. They did get a tackle in the first rounder, but they also looking maybe for another quarterback, wide receiver, a guard, and a cornerback. Boy, the number, what would he be, number 16 overall in Jeremiah McCoy is still available. Kind of just glaring there as if Mekhi Lemon was just a short time ago. Vincent, we'll start with you. Pick number 2 for the Cleveland Browns.
Like I said before, I'm not impressed with Jerry Jeudy. Honestly, I think he stole money. I think the Browns need another playmaker on the outside, Denzel Boston out of University of Washington. I know he might be ready, kind of down on the board, but I think right now if the Browns are going to make some moves, I think they got to get another receiver. Jerry Jeudy, to me, is not the answer. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Yeah, Denzel is 6'4", 212, a bigger bodied guy, right? Number 4 receiver overall. Your thoughts here, Joey?
I think I would go defense here because I think in the second round there are a bunch of receivers. I like the kid, the big kid from Ole Miss. I like the kid from Tennessee in the second round. I mean, big kids that can run and stretch the field. And Boston is a really good receiver, but Boston can't run. If I'm being nice, he's not a speed guy. So I would be more comfortable taking the best corner or best even outside linebacker. I'm not sure if there's any best rushers left available, and get a receiver in the second round.
Yeah, the number 2 cornerback, 6'1". I like the size. There's a couple of guys that we've looked at in terms of our prospect show that are 5'something, 5'10", 5'11".
Mhm.
So it depends. Here's a guy that's 6'1", 188. Yeah, he could put on a pound or two, but if he can run, he's a number 16 overall. I think a good value here.
Oh, without question. But the only thing about McCoy you have to worry about, again, the knee. And he worked out for everybody. He ran fast at the pro day. I think he ran a low 4.4, high 4.3. I did watch some of that pro day, and I was a little bit concerned about the flexibility. I didn't think. As a matter of fact, my son called me. He said, "Did you see this?" He said, he looks a little stiff. I'm like, I must have taught you well, because yes, he does look a little stiff.
The acorn does not fall far from the tree, right? he's got fluidity issues, right?
Right.
Tight ankles,
exactly right.
Exactly right. But for him to be able to recognize that after you talking about it, he's looking for it. Good for him. I like it. All right, give me another perspective here if you don't mind. Cleveland's still on the clock. We're waiting for the pick. Is this another commercial delay? Is that what we're looking at?
Yep,
okay.
We're in a commercial. Yes.
Yeah. All right, so after Cleveland is Chicago. So we'll kind of probably boogie very quickly through the Cleveland pick once they've made it, and probably knowing full well that the Bears have been on the clock now for a couple of minutes. All right,
I think
go ahead, Joey. Please forgive me.
No, go ahead. I see the pick is in. So
yeah, I see it's in as well. I just we're gonna wait for the commercial to be over before the commissioner comes up and does his thing.
I'm saying corner here, and I don't know, but I'm guessing corner. They need someone across from Denzel. What's his name? I mean, he was an All-Pro player.
Denzel Ward.
Pick is in. You're going to like this, Vincent. It's KC Concepcion from Texas A&M, 6 foot, 196 pounder out of Texas A&M, wide receiver. Vincent, give me your thoughts here about Cleveland going out of their way to get a faster guy rather than bigger, but a guy that really was impressive there with A&M. Had a great senior year.
Major stat. Played in North Carolina State and Texas A&M, 25 touchdowns in his career. Go back to the LSU game film, took that punt to the house, which changed the game in the second half as Texas A&M ran away from LSU. 38 games, 183 receptions, 2,200 yards. This guy's a very explosive football player, man. And I think that's what the Browns need. And think about this. They got Isaiah Bond, who they signed as an undrafted free agent last year at Alabama, who should have got drafted. Word on the street is that he's looking real well in the mini camps this past week, catching passes from Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Well, KC, obviously, we got a couple pictures of here. The one against Notre Dame earlier in the season. Your thoughts here, Joey, about KC Concepcion?
I like
receivers in front of him. You mentioned Boston being one of them, but if Boston doesn't have the speed, you're just going to go with a guy that's a little faster.
Well, I'm not going to say this guy's faster. He's a better overall football player. I think at his combine time he was like 4.48, and watching him play, I would have said that would be about what he plays. He doesn't play like a burner, but what he is extremely special with the ball in his hands. So that's why I really like this pick, because his run after the catch, his ability to catch some things in traffic. Now he'll drop some. He'll go through a spell that he drops some, but he is great with the ball in his hands and this ability to run after the catch. So those are the things I like about KC, and he's a punt returner.
Can I ask a question? When's the last time, I'm thinking there's a few, but just when's the last time Texas A&M had a guy go in the first round? I'm so happy for the organization, the program there. I mean, Jake Matthews, obviously here in Atlanta. It's been here 10, 11 years now. Congratulations to them. But I just think, A&M is they're catching up. Good for them. I love it. All right, A&M.
And just on another note, I am really happy for this kid. Because it came out maybe the Senior Bowl or somewhere. He's got a stuttering issue, and it's problematic for people. And some of that, when people stutter, sometimes it has a lot to do with anxiety and things like that. But this kid has overcome that, and he's a really good football player. He is a really good football player. So I'm happy for this kid.
Thank you for bringing that up, because Andre Bruce, I played with Andre. Andre had a little bit of a stutter. He had a learning disability. And then Bo Jackson for years didn't want to talk to anybody because he had a little bit of a stammer. And once he learned to control that and just be relaxed when he speaks to people, because he gets a little nervous, I don't know what I'm going to say, but and you think about things and it doesn't come out right. So Concepcion in that, obviously a huge issue, but congratulations. You're now in the National Football League with the Cleveland Browns. You got a lot of work to do, young man, but get to work right now. Chicago is on the clock and their pick is in. We don't have it yet, but McCoy, again, he's still staying there. I don't know what he did wrong, but if he did anything wrong, he's been waiting now for about 8 picks above where his position is. And then Dylan Thieneman from Oregon. Let me your thoughts here first and foremost. Safety, defensive tackle, edge rusher, center, and wide receiver is what the Bears need. Vincent, I'll start with you. They were 11-6. They won the North. They were kind of a surprise, but in order to stay there, what do the Chicago Bears and their staff, what do they need to do?
Once again, I'm a lobby for Caden McDonald, D tackle. Grady Jarrett is getting long in the tooth, as Mr. Clinkscales would say. And then I'm going to piggyback off what you just said, Mr. LeBel. I think Dylan Thieneman would be an excellent pickup based on the fact Kevin Bernard signed with New England in the offseason. So they need a very athletic guy on the back end. And Mr. Thieneman is from that area. He's from Indiana, which is close to Chicago. Remember, he played his first 3 years at Purdue. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Yep, absolutely. Purdue Boilermaker finishes his last year playing Big Ten for the University of Oregon. Your thoughts here about him? Thieneman, yep, probably could be, but more than that, let's just talk a little bit about the Bears and their situation at number 25 here.
I think the Bears, while Thieneman was probably a good pick, the other safety, I think he has more of the Chicago Bear mentality. The kid, the Warren kid, because I think he can play slot receivers. He's fast enough to do that. He can play the deep pad, and more importantly, he's physical. Thieneman is not the most physical guy. I think the other guy fits the Bears' profile from a physicality standpoint. I do like the defensive lineman from Ohio State who's still on the board. I think that would be a solid pick for them also. But I do think this pick has to be probably a defensive player. Well,
safety, tackle, edge, those are the top 3 of looking at what the Bears do. Let me just throw this at you. The running game was as good as anybody. They weren't number 1 in the league, but gosh, running in Chicago in November and December, so critically important. Do you think outside the box, and is Boston the type of guy, I don't need to be fast, but I need him to be a guy that can make a catch for me when my quarterback is scrambling around? Is that a Caleb Williams assistance right there to do something and kind of cross the way of thinking and go with a lineman? Joy, I'll start with you.
Well, I don't think you – yeah.
Not a lineman, a wide receiver. Please forgive me.
It's not really a position of need. You have a really good tight end. You have two former first-round wide receivers already on the squad and under contract. Okay. So I think that's a luxury at this point. That's why I think you have other holes on your team. So I think you do that. I think you go with the defensive player, unless it's an offensive lineman.
Yeah. Did it surprise you at all that they just come from worst to first in terms of winning the division last year, Vincent?
Somewhat, but I knew that they had a special talent at the quarterback position, and I know their head coach, Ben Johnson, was a well-respected offensive coordinator over there at Detroit, and he did wonders with Jared Goff, so it should not be no surprise. But I'm going to pick it back off the Bears selecting a wide receiver. Remember DJ Moore, they traded him to Buffalo in the offseason. So
pick us in, gentlemen. Pick us in. Dylan Thieneman.
Yep. There you go.
Okay.
So they went with the best safety that they felt was available right now. Emmanuel McDaniel Warren out of Toledo is also right there. They were neck and neck in terms of their rankings, but this young man out of Oregon, 6 feet, 201 pound. We just mentioned a moment ago, 3 years. He's from Indiana high school. Was about a 3-star athlete. Goes to Purdue. They had a couple of really bad years, and so he leaves Purdue and somehow or another in the portal gets picked up, goes to Oregon, kind of turns some things around, uses his speed to his advantage, and now he's a number 1 pick. He was number 2 safety on the board, so behind Caleb Downs, and he's obviously your favorite there, Vincent. But give me your thoughts here about Dylan.
Hey, excellent football player, man. What I like about him, he transferred from Purdue, played in that system of Purdue, didn't win a lot of games. So Dan Lanning liked him, brought him out to Oregon, and the guy performed at a high level production-wise. And you can go back, he had that key interception against Penn State that won them that football game early on in the season. But to me, he reminds me a lot of Harrison Smith right now, the safety out of Notre Dame, the veteran with the Minnesota Vikings, kind of got that same type of ability, that same body makeup. And we know what Harrison Smith has done in his 15 years, make plays. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Joey, your thoughts here. Can he step up into the box? Is he that quarterback on the field? Is he just fast enough to be able to get that cover 2 situation when you've got a fast wide receiver that's kind of split in the middle of the field there? What are your likes and dislikes here about the player itself? But, more than anything, we got to congratulate him. He's a first rounder, so he doesn't have a whole lot that he needs to worry about.
Yeah, I think from that standpoint, I think he, the obvious comparison is Harrison Smith, but I think he's more like the kid in Philly right now as it plays corner and safety. I think you like him because I think he can run. Okay, he can run. He's athletic. He can run. He's not the most physical guy. He's a hold him tackler, hold him to the cavalry, get there kind of tackler, and that's fine. But you like a lot of things because he's smart. He's going to be another coach on the field because he's a really bright, smart guy, and he will help that defense a lot.
Well, it looks like there's been a trade here, gentlemen. We're going to get you details. Buffalo is on the clock, but it looks like now that Houston has taken their position, and they have a pick, and it is in. But we're looking at that. Joey, when you get details, whether or not you get what was involved with the trade, I look forward to that. But just before we finish, any final thoughts, either one of you, on Chicago before we move forward?
Excellent pick. They had to draft a safety. You asked me, Kevin Bernard, winning free agency to New England. That was a void they had to fill.
Yeah, it was a need pick, and it was a pick of probably their highest rated guy left on the board. So those 2 things came together.
All right. Well, again, Buffalo was on the clock. It looks like there was a pick there. I don't have it in front of me, so if anybody can assist me, how far back did they move before the Houston pick?
The Texans have it doesn't say
2. I think 2 slots. San Francisco was ahead of them.
Yeah,
and they end up moving ahead. But
they moved ahead of San Francisco. Yeah,
so on Houston, the clock, but the pick is in.
Pick is in
at 12-5. Real quick, gentlemen, 12-5. They are on the clock right now. They were second in the NFC South. Guard, center, defensive tackle, cornerback, and edge are their top. What we're looking at right now, but. Boy, things are going pretty fast right here. So their pick is in. I don't have it, but it says Adam Schefter has also said that the Dolphins have traded up to get San Francisco's turn at number 27. So we're looking at 26 right now. I don't have Houston's pick, but once we get that, and now we're looking at the Dolphins getting back into it and going ahead of San Francisco. So looks like the Niners may have collected a few things as well as the Bill in terms of assets. Your thoughts, Joey?
Yeah, I think whoever the Texans pick here, they wanted him because they felt like San Francisco was going to take the player. So they knew they needed to get ahead of San Francisco to get this player. So I'm assuming it's probably either a safety or offensive lineman because they they have to keep the quarterback. CJ Stroud.
Pick is in. Houston has selected with number 26 overall, Kalen Rutledge, a 6'4", 316-pound guard from Georgia Tech. So he has been selected, and now it looks like San Francisco is on the clock. But I'm not showing the trade being official yet, so please forgive me. Adam Schefter reported it, but now it looks like San Francisco's on the clock. All right, your thoughts here about the Houston Texans taking Rutledge here. We'll start with you. I know at Georgia Tech, just down the road from you there a little bit. Vincent, give me your thoughts here on this one.
The Rambling Wreck. Just yesterday, I heard the head football coach was on a local radio show, and he said this young man could possibly be the best lineman in the draft. And man, he was really, really excited about this kid getting drafted. And this kid, Mr. Rutledge, was making some noise. He was moving up the draft boards. And we know the Texans need to protect C.J. Stroud and need to find out what type of player he's going to be, because he's coming up for a big contract next year, right? And it just gave what's the DN Will Anderson a lot of money. So I'm looking at the Texans saying, you know what? Hey, we got to really improve our offensive line. I think they got a quality football player. Brent Key, hell of a football coach at Georgia Tech, outstanding O-line coach. And I'm telling you, he was lobbying for this kid real strong yesterday. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Yeah, absolutely. And Houston has got a big, strong kid. Joe, your thoughts here on Rutledge?
I like the kid. I saw him play on tape. I like a lot of things he does. And I also think he may have a chance eventually to be a center, because I think he's smart. He's athletic. He does a good job in short area. He's got some power. He can play lower like they all can, but you can see him pull and move and get to the second level and reach block and scoop and do all those things. So I like the player. I like the pick. He's a tough guy.
Yeah, I think anybody would want that. I'd say Detroit, right, would love a guy like that. But, going with a guy that was a little bit lower than that, but wanting to kind of reach and go with a guard specific as opposed to the tackle. And we've talked about Caleb Lamu from Utah is still sitting there. He was in the 27, 28 range, depending on what board you're looking at. All right, so Rutledge goes to Houston. There has been a trade between the San Francisco 49ers. They were supposed to pick at 27. They will drop back to 30. Miami is now on the clock, and I believe that their pick is in. So we're waiting there to hear from what the Dolphins.
It's a commercial.
Okay, so we'll be there for just a couple more minutes. Second pick, Vincent from Miami. They were 7-10. We talked a little bit about them earlier. We're looking at a team that was in a little bit of turmoil with their head coach, with their quarterback. We spoke about that a little bit earlier as well. Give me your perspective here on the second pick. They picked Caden Proctor earlier out of Alabama, that big offensive tackle, and now they've got their second pick in the first round. They moved up to do that. Go ahead and give me your thoughts here on Miami.
Okay, Miami total offensive rankings last year, they were 26. They were 13th in rushing the football, and they was 25th in passing. And I think Mr. Tua got hit a lot, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really see any problem them taking another offensive lineman. Now, Harper, I know you love that young man out of Utah, because over the last month you've talked about him, and you got me loving the football player, Caleb Lamu. I'm not going to try to butcher his name, but I don't see the Dolphins having no problem taking another offensive lineman based on the offensive woes from 2025. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Very interesting if they go with two big, guys that can really make a difference, whether they both are on the right or left side, or if they split them up. Your thoughts here, Joey, if you don't mind, going back on that second pick and the trade that they made with the San Francisco 49ers.
Well, the Dolphins are in need of a whole lot of things. So they could get another offensive lineman, and you won't blink an eye because they need it. They could get a corner.
Yeah.
You wouldn't blink an eye because they need it. They need a lot. So I don't know if they can make a bad pick here unless it's a quarterback or a running back. So we're looking forward to see what they decide.
The safe pick will take the offensive tackle, in my opinion. Mr. Hopper LeBel's man, Mr. Caleb Lamu.
Well, if they've got a cornerback need, the numbers. Where's the value now? Do we know something that Do we not know something that we need to know about McCoy? Because I'm just wondering how he slipped down. And then the next.
Well, the only thing about McCoy is he didn't play at all last season. So he didn't play one single down last season because of the ACL that he was working back from.
So this is a combine. All right, the pick is in now. Chris Johnson, San Diego State cornerback, 6 foot, 193. I have him as the 39th player overall. I'll get a picture up for you in a second, folks. But Chris Johnson is the pick here for the Miami Dolphins. Your thoughts here? Joey, I'll start with you.
I saw him. He's a good football player. I didn't think he was elite or even a first round pick. I thought he was a second round pick, but I thought he had some physicality. Wasn't afraid to make tackles. More of a zone corner than a man-to-man cover guy. So it's interesting because you have both Hood from Tennessee. You have the kid from Clemson still on the board. You have the other McCoy from Tennessee, and then they chose this guy. So, but that being said, this guy's a good football player. I just didn't think he was a first-round football player.
Yeah, playing in a group of 5. Obviously, the advantage is you really stand out a little bit more, but you're not playing against SEC, Big Ten, ACC level. Vincent, your thought here about Chris Johnson?
I know over the last 2 weeks, he was really rising up the draft boards. And what they was really loving about him, they say he's very physical, played in 47 games, started as a true freshman. But you just brought up a very interesting point, Harper. You just mentioned the competition. So kind of really shocked that he went this high, but he was rising up the draft boards. But then I think about the competition all the time. It's very surprising that Colton Hood is still on the board. Jamon McCoy still on the board, and Avon Terrell. But Chris Johnson was rising up the boards the last couple of weeks. So the Dolphins need help in every area. So this young man, one thing about it, he's going to be thrown in the fire real quick down there in South Beach. Just stay out South Beach, man.
The one thing I will add is he does have a little bit of versatility to play both outside and in the nickel. And if you can do that, then your stock is usually more valuable than a guy that just can be an outside guy. And he's shown the propensity to be able to play both positions. So,
real quick, gentlemen, I'm going to interrupt you. In another interdivision trade, Buffalo has traded their number 28 pick to New England. New England is number 31, so they'll drop back. The Bills will 3 spots. And they're also, I think they're going to get numbered 125 overall. So that would be, a 4th rounder? So the Bills have now traded twice, and to move back a little bit, evidently the person that they want is still available, or they believe that he will be. And the selection, here you go. Wow, but this didn't take long at all. So New England has made their pick. Caleb Lamu, we've talked about him just a little bit. He is now the newest New England Patriot. So let me start with this. And Vincent, let's begin with you.
The young man didn't give up a sack, I think somebody said last year.
Yeah, he didn't give up a sack. Yep, that's correct.
And I'm going to say this. He played pretty good against Mr. David Bailey, the 2nd overall pick when Texas Tech and Utah played. The mic has dropped. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Joey, your thoughts here. Let's go.
Really good football player. I mean, he played left tackle. I'm not sure he'll play left tackle in NFL. He might be more of a right tackle. I projected him as a right tackle rather than a left tackle, which might be why he slid down here. But he's a good football player. Again, he did not give up a sack all season long. So and he's got strength. He's a little bit tight-hipped, which is why I think he's more of a right tackle than a left tackle. But there are lots of things to like about him. He's got long arms. He's tough. So there's a lot to like about this player.
He looks lean. The picture on the left here. I mean, doesn't he? He didn't look like a really enormous guy, but it's 6 foot,
he's like 306. Yeah.
And then again, Utah's program a couple years ago, they were battling, with SC and some other the Stanfords and Oregons. They really made a name for themselves. Obviously, switching conferences and the way that's worked out, but. To move up the way that they did, I think New England obviously thought that he might go to San Francisco, and they kind of leaped in front of him. But to give an extra pick to their arch rival there in Buffalo, a very interesting perspective. But nonetheless, the deal's in, and congratulations to the New England Patriots.
Yeah, they identified a player they really liked, and he was still available, and there was probably not another tackle that they really liked, and it was really a position of need for those guys as well. So they went and got him. So I can appreciate that.
Before
And
we move
think about,
in, Vincent, do you have anything else to add?
yeah, think about this gentleman real quick. We don't know about Will Campbell. He struggled in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. He did have. Do you move him in, Joey? What do you do with Campbell if he was your guy and you went out to get him, and now you bring in another tackle?
Well, I think this guy, Will played left, and I'm not sure you don't. I think you leave Will at left, and hopefully year 2 is better than year 1. I don't want to write Will off just yet because
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this guy will go in and play right tackle because his body type, his athletic ability, everything profiles as a right tackle.
Okay, and again, Will, you're in the league and I'm not, so I understand where you are, but there are a lot of folks that have really looked at New England and said that's one of those glaring 800-pound elephants in the room that we need to address, and obviously they moved up to do so. So probably their most pressing need in Patriot land was to get themselves another, or at least add to the depth that they have. All right, back on the clock here for the second time. Kansas City, gentlemen, their pick is in, but we're still waiting for the actual selection to be made. But they've been kind of sitting very patiently here for over the last 30, 45 minutes. Kansas City picked Mansour Delane, the cornerback out of LSU, with their first pick earlier in the first round, and now they're on the clock. So, Vincent, I'll go with you first.
Chris Jones is getting old. He's had a great career out of Mississippi State. I'm going to keep lobbying for Caden McDonald. It'll be excellent right here for the Chiefs, in my opinion. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Yeah, and if he falls into them at the second pick, he was number 26 overall, so a little bit of a value here, if you don't mind me saying so, Joey. We still have McCoy on the lot. Emmanuel McDaniel Warren, who is a safety out of Toledo, another one of those situations where he's out of a small conference and you really haven't seen him play that much. But Avion Terrell out of Clemson, there's another guy that we haven't talked about a lot. Omar Cooper, the wide receiver out of Indiana, still available. And then Kendrick Falk of edge rusher out of Auburn. All of those guys from a, where do they rank, are still available and have not yet been selected for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I would consider here, not knowing obviously what their board looks like, but I would consider here McDonald inside and a receiver. Unless you have an offensive lineman that you really like, because again, you have a quarterback coming back off of ACL.
And then again, also having that additional Ohio State Buckeye. My gosh, they've had a great first round. You guys talk while I get the dog to be quiet.
Sure. Yeah. So I don't think Kansas. I think Kansas City has a couple directions. Again, it depends on what their board looks like. But I think the fact that you mentioned the interior play and Chris Jones. Now, Chris played inside and outside. You can't ever have enough pass rushers, and I think McDonald gives you the flexibility to do a lot of things inside. And again, they can always use another receiver. Rice is going through some more legal issues. And,
absolutely.
They got rid of another receiver. He's in somewhere else now. So
Marquise Brown.
Yeah, so I don't think that would be a bad position to take one as well.
Well, I'm thinking that we all know the Chiefs is Super Bowl or bust. Last year, they didn't end the season on where actually they didn't make the playoffs. So, to me, you lost your two corners to the Rams, Jalen Watson and Trent McDuffie. You already pulled the trigger on Mansour Delane. Why not take another corner in Avon Terrell? I think he fits what the Chiefs does. Physical football player. I'm going to say this. I think he's more physical than his brother coming into the league. You back with us, Mr. LeBel?
I am. I sure am. And I don't know if AJ would like hearing that, but that's okay. All right, the pick is in. Jeremy McCoy out of Tennessee.
Yep.
All right.
6'1", 188-pounder. He was the number 2 cornerback. Congratulations to him. He is now the newest member of the no, I'm sorry. What am I doing? I am so sorry. Peter Woods, defensive tackle out of Clemson. I am so sorry, gentlemen. I was looking at the wrong portion of the board. Peter Woods.
Okay.
Number 20 overall. So here he is. Let me get a picture of him. Big guy.
From a position standpoint, I think the position they took was correct. Now, Peter was a little bit of an underachiever this year at Clemson. He's got all the physical traits to be a really good player. He's got some powerful hands, violent hands. He didn't play hard all the time. He got winded a lot, so he probably needs to get in a little better condition. But from a pure skill set perspective, there's no reason why he couldn't have been a top 15, 18 pick, because he's got that kind of ability in him. But this year, it didn't always come out in his play.
All right, before we do this, San Francisco was on the clock. They had moved back. It looks like they've just made a trade, and the New York Jets are on the clock. So with the Jets, I believe the pick is in. We'll let you know in just a second, but let's talk a little bit. Let's finish up with Peter Woods going to Kansas City. Vincent, I'm going to finish up with you, and then I get more details about the next pick.
I still would have took Caden McDonald. I think Caden McDonald's a way much better football player than Peter Woods. I don't think Pete Woods played up to his potential a lot this year. Came into the season first team All-American. To me, took some plays off. Just didn't like he was really in tune in the line of scrimmage. And he got Dabo Swinney in trouble this year because Clemson defense, outside Avon Terrell, really didn't play good football all year long. And the linebacker Sammy Brown played extremely well, the true sophomore. But Pete Woods and T.J. Parker both have been them guys, first-round picks that both solidify that defense. And Mr. Pete Woods, to me, just didn't play well. Now, not saying he's a first-round talent, but I'm taking Caden McDonald every day. So that's my final take on Pete Woods. Pete Woods, it's your time to step up. To me personally, you underachieved this past season at Clemson. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
All right, the pick is in. The New York Jets have traded with the 49ers, so the 49ers will drop back another couple of spots. They'll get the, second pick in the second round, if I'm not mistaken. They'll wait till tomorrow to get their first pick, but they have made the selection, and it is Omar Cooper out of Indiana. So he is your newest New York Jet receiver. Vincent, I'll start with you. Here's the guy that played for a national championship, won it, was a big-time guy for that, and the Jets went up and got him, and he's now the newest Jet. 6 foot, 199-pounder out of Indiana. Number 5 wide receiver, depending on what you're looking at, number 24 overall. So that's kind of a little bit of a value, if you don't mind me saying so. Your thoughts?
Geno has help. Geno Smith.
Yes, he does.
Mr. Cooper, you welcome to Broadway, man. Excellent football player, national champion. One thing about Omar Cooper Jr. that I really loved about him, he was a guy that played very physical on the outside, made people miss, and he didn't waste no time getting up the field with that football in his hands. He was going forward every time I saw him play. And think about his catch against, I believe, Penn State, to win that football game at the end of the game. And a very experienced football player. Love the pick. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Absolutely. Joey, your thoughts here on Omar Cooper. Again, number 24 overall. He and Boston were both in the same category. Not quite as big, but maybe a little bit faster. Your thoughts here?
I like the pick. I like this player better than I like Boston. I actually like this pick better than I like Concepcion, to be honest with you. But I think this guy played big in big situations. I think he can run. I think he's a really good route runner. I think he can play both on the outside and in the slot. And he was a hard cover. And every big catch, I shouldn't say every other big catch they needed this year, Omar Cooper Jr. made that catch. Yeah. They had another receiver. His name's Serrata or somebody, I think.
Right.
He was a really good receiver too. But I really like this pick. I think this guy will pay dividends for the New York Jets.
Well, certainly he comes from a lineage that is short-lived in terms of Indiana football and playing for a national championship, just even being in the game and getting into the championship series. So many different things, but the discipline, I think, will speak for itself. You know, he's a guy that works hard, and if you do the right thing at the right time, you certainly have a chance to make a name for yourself. So congratulations to him, newest member of the New York Jets. They have 3 first-rounders this year, so the Jets really have taken advantage of the draft in a way that they wanted to get, 3 of the top 33 guys, 34 guys, and they certainly did that all in the first round. New York will still be picking, but a different team. That's going to be the Buffalo Bills, but there's been a trade. So the Bills have traded with Tennessee, and now at pick number 31, Tennessee has now moved ahead, and they've got about another minute. There's a pick that supposedly is in. But the 30th pick, as we just mentioned, with the trade for the 49ers, the Jets had just taken Cooper, and now on the clock is the Tennessee Titans. McCoy still available. Kendrick Falk is probably one of the better fits for Tennessee if they want to move up and get him, or Caden McDonald. We've been talking about him all evening. Gentlemen, neither one of them, the 3 that we mentioned, have been selected so far, but it looks like Tennessee's on the clock now.
Cam Ward, offense. Take another receiver. I like Jeremy Bernard in this spot right here. Very good receiver out of the University of Alabama. Certain times last year, he was the best offensive player on the field for the University of Alabama, but I could be wrong. I think the Titans might look to take another wide receiver because Cam Ward is going to need help in Tennessee. Well, and he started him last year. Okay.
Picking 4th overall. No, that's okay. Picking 4th overall and then just moving up just a couple of slots to get the guy that you want. Obviously, that's not that big of a jump. It shouldn't cost him in terms of draft picks a whole heck of a lot. Do you think, Joey?
I think it could be receiver. I would be surprised if it's the Alabama guy with the other guys. I have him as a 2nd-round pick, but I have him further down the list. I would think they could take a corner here, maybe Hood, maybe the kid from Clemson here, maybe a safety. So I think they're probably going to go deep. They're probably going to go defense here.
Kendrick Falk. Yep, they picked Kendrick Falk, edge rusher out of Alabama, out of Auburn, Alabama. Sorry about that, gentlemen. I know that is a horrible mistake that anyone from Alabama would quickly correct me. My apologies. Been doing this now for about 3 hours straight. High-speed stuff. I like the fact that the draft is going as quickly as it is. I don't know if you guys mind.
Yeah,
but
I love it. Yeah.
Give me your thoughts here, Joey, first and foremost about Kendrick going to Tennessee.
Athletic defensive end. He's a big guy. He'll have his hand in the dirt all the time. He can be on the edge, depending on what kind of defense Coach Sala brings in to Tennessee. But he was an underachiever this year for sure. He's got a lot of ability. Didn't always play hard, but when he played, you could see him go from sideline to sideline. He's a better, he's comparable to the other kid from Florida who didn't play but 3 games this year. But this kid is a better athlete than that kid is. This kid, again, he's got a ton of tools if you can just get it out of it.
Caleb Banks was the defensive tackle we were talking about at 6'6". He's about 325, 330.
Yeah.
Here's a kid 6'6", 275.
Yeah.
So a completely different body frame, a small waist guy. You can see him kind of get around the edge. Vincent, your thoughts here about Kendrick? Big body, big guy, but a lot leaner than what we were looking at. But is he quick enough? Is he fast enough? Does he have a second move that can make him a starter in the NFL from the time he gets into camp?
I think he got more potential than probably any edge rusher coming into this draft. But like I said earlier, only 29 tackles last year, 2 sacks, only 6 quarterback hurries, 5 tackles for loss. Some not right there. I don't like the production. I'm going to be honest with you. And I keep saying, and I said it again, and I'm going to say it again. Keon Crawford from my hometown of 901 was a better defensive end for Auburn this year. Check Mr. Crawford's stats. Now, Mr. Falk has all the potential, looks the part, and he played in the SEC. I have some worries there about this pick in the first round with the Titans. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Okay. Well, Kendrick Falk, now the newest member of the Tennessee Titans, and just before that, Omar Cooper Jr. ends up going to the New York Jets. Seattle's on the clock, guys. This will be the last pick in the first round. We'll be leaving just after this, but San Francisco has moved back twice now, and they'll have the first pick tomorrow in the second round. So the way that these drafts, the trades have worked out, gosh, if their guy's still on the board, what a great move there by the 49ers. If they were going to, let's say, wait for McDonald and or Zion, Avion Terrell, or Denzel Boston, these guys are still available. That's one of the neat things that can kind of fall in your lap, right, Joey?
It sure is. I mean, you knew you were picking the last pick in the first round anyway because you won the championship. So I'm sure there's somebody that slipped down that they really like. They're still sitting there and they have a smile on their face. We said we're going to get a guy that we like that we didn't expect to be there.
Yeah, well, I was talking about San Francisco specifically to move back twice and get some other assets in terms of additional selections. And
I think they really needed assets though in San Francisco from a cap standpoint with what they were trying to do. They still have to get rid of the money off the books for the receiver that they hadn't traded and got rid of yet. So I think from a cap perspective, and there's enough receivers still there in the second round that they'll get another receiver for that kid and the kid from Tennessee that they lost that came to the Titans, that receiver. So they are in need of receiver help, but I think they're enough in the second round that you feel really comfortable with those guys. So,
yeah. Well, let's look quickly at Seattle, 14-3 overall. They won their division in the West. They won the Super Bowl. What I thought was great about what they did is that they were kind of all in. Their special teams were better than average. Their defense played better than average. Their offense was better than average, and they all kind of teamed in together at the right time. And they only lost 3 games, but really took advantage of that home field advantage and kind of us against the world on the road. They played really well when they needed to, even though their white uniforms looked dirty, like they hadn't been washed. You know what I mean? They looked good while they were out there, and they played well. Vincent, I'll begin with you. Running back, they lost their starting running back, so they've got an issue there. Edge rusher, quarterback, tackle, and wide receiver are their needs. But when you win the Super Bowl, your needs are a little bit different. You've got depth, but maybe in 1 or 2 positions you need to enhance that. Tell me your thoughts here on Seattle as we move forward.
Well, I'm looking at 2 picks that make sense for me. The running back position, I hear that they really high on Mr. Price, the guy that backed up Mr. Love at Notre Dame. They love because he don't have a lot of mileage, and I was hearing rumors over the past couple of days that Seattle really likes him in the safety. Emmanuel McNeil Warren, Mr. Clinkscales, man, he's a type of Seattle Seahawks player based on the fact Kobe Bryant has left him in free agency. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Thank you. Joey, your thoughts here on Seattle and what their needs may be?
Couple things. I think they could use another receiver. I think they could use that safety, and I think they could use a running back. Now, I'm not super high. I like the Notre Dame guy, but to me, he's a little bit more straight line for me than I like the Arkansas kid better as a running back because I think he can make people miss in space, and he's got power and the speed to go the distance. And I love the safety, so I'll be curious to see which direction they go here.
Do you take the Washington kid, Denzel Boston, because he's a local? If you're looking at a wide receiver, that might be who the fans like, but may not be the best guy for your roster.
No, you take the best player available. You don't take a guy just because he went to the University of Washington.
He's a local kid. You got to go with the local kid because you might sell 1 or 2 more season tickets.
You know what? If we're in the 7th round, I'll take that. But if we're in the first round, I'm taking the best.
We won a Super Bowl by not doing something like that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, but we just haven't seen it yet. Is this another commercial that we're waiting for?
No, the commissioner's up there.
Okay. All right. Well, we should know any second now. Yes, we just did. The selection has been made, and they went with – all right, guys, Nostradamus there. Jadarian Price, running back out of Notre Dame, 5'11". Wow. 203-pounder. He was number 2 running back, obviously his teammate.
I heard they was in love with him.
Jeremiah Love was number 1 and 2 Notre Dame running backs. That probably hasn't happened since would it be Jerome Bettis, or would it have to be with way back in the day? Gosh, back when Notre Dame and Army had nothing but running backs going. All right, so Jadarian Price. Now your perspective here. We'll start with you, Vincent.
Hey, I mean, I think Mike McDonald's done a hell of a job. Local guy to Centennial High School here in the Atlanta metro area. He's got the Seahawks back in contention. The only thing I have a problem with Seattle, are they going to miss Clint Kubiak? because he was a mainstay as the offensive coordinator, and how that's going to affect the Seattle Seahawks offense and Sam Darnold. But we know one thing under Mr. McDonald: the Seahawks are going to be good defensively, and I think they're going to be tough in the NFC West this year. Again, back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Well, you need to have a guy that can go in between the tackles, but also bend it, get outside. They had such a great system, watching the way that they were able to run the ball and get the first down and keep the sticks moving. Does Price offer that same type of tenacity when he's carrying the ball to you, Joey?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's a north-south runner. I mean, he's a one-cut-and-go guy. He's not a guy that's going to make you really miss in the backfield, but he actually runs like the guy that just left. A guy that's not going to make you miss. He's a one-cut-and-go guy. Kenneth Walker. He's going to go downhill. So I think their running styles are similar. So maybe that's why they like this kid a little better than they like the other kid who in my opinion was a better overall football player because he had better hands and everything. But yeah. I understand the pick because I think from a skill set perspective, he's similar to what they lost. So, but Vincent made a great point of the offensive style, what that will look like going in this year with a new coordinator.
Yeah. Well, first round is finished, gentlemen. Give me your over and under. Was it? I think it was a little bit faster. We've been on the air a little bit more than 3 hours. Last year it was almost 4. So we saved nearly an hour of our lives not having to deal with that. But I liked the speed. The tempo was great. There were some trades. I think the trades that were made were done by organizations that they made the trade. We made the pick. And I like the precision of that. I really did. Anything that sticks out in your mind's eye, Vincent?
Tonight, I think it was one of the best draft shows I've been part of. As you just said, I like the speed. I like the pace. As I always say to myself, the ball did not drop. You two gentlemen were at a high level, and I enjoyed myself. And when you look at it overall, you're going to have parts of a draft where there's going to be surprises. There's going to be some players that are going to fall. But overall, I think 100 Yards Football did an excellent job tonight. And this is for you, Harper. Thank you. And this is for you, Joey. Cowboy Nation is back.
Joey, Cowboy Nation is back. I didn't know that. How about that?
Yeah, they say that every year. We'll see.
It was just one player away.
They say that every year. We'll see.
Now we got that guy. We're back in. Hey, Joey, thank you so much. I really appreciate your insight.
Yes.
Vincent, of course, between the two of you, the banter, the back and forth, the different perspectives, you made it very easy for me to be able to just go with you. My biggest issue is there were a couple of guys that I didn't have their pictures because I thought they would be second rounders, and they ended up being middle or late first round guys. But Joey, your final thoughts here before we go.
No, the draft was pretty much on script. You never know who guys like, and that's why you have second round guys that go in the first round. And a lot of times the second round players have the ability to be first round players, but something is missing, like a Peter Wood. I was shocked that he was a first round pick, but Peter Wood probably has a lot more upside than Caden McDonald. I would have thought Caden would have been a back end, but Caden has a little bit of a ceiling where Peter can actually be an interior inside pass rusher if he gets his act together. So, those things happen, and people take chances on guys on upside and potential late in the first round.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for watching, everybody. We greatly appreciate it. This has been the NFL's first round draft pick, and we have gone over the show from start to finish. It's been a little more than 3 hours. We appreciate you being around to stick with us. If you watched what happened on one of the networks, obviously the NFL network or the ESPN networks that they have, we appreciate it. I'm very grateful that you guys stuck with us, and maybe you turn the sound down and listen to our perspective as opposed to watching the commercials and the other insight that is really kind of short and sketchy because it was so much shorter this year. So for Vincent Turner, for Joey Clinkscales, I'm Harper LeBel saying thank you so much for tuning in. This has been 100 Yards of Football. Our special NFL draft prospect shows have been taken over by the NFL draft, and we're so glad that you were a part of it here this evening. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have a fantastic